is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Time to rock and roll for the next couple of hours. As always, it's Thursday. Thursday means we are live at, of course, Toyota of Hollywood. We'll be out here for a couple of hours. It is draft day, which is a beautiful thing. A little draft day action. It is finally here. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting and debating for so long. Yes. Anyway, so we are going to have some fun today. We got an all-star lineup today on the show. Greg Allman from The Athletic is going to stop by at 11:30, so we'll have some fun with him. We'll talk a little bit about the Bucks and Gronk, and we'll ask him what he thinks the Bucks are going to do in the draft. Mark Lillibridge, the former linebacker in the NFL, agent, contract negotiator, scout, he's done it all in the NFL, so we'll talk about. And if you go to his Twitter page at Bridges Football, you're going to see breakdowns of a ton of draft picks. He does these focuses on each player and stuff. And so Bridge does a really good job with that, just in case. If you're a draft nut, you got to follow Bridge on Twitter at Bridges Football, and obviously the Brawl Network. He does a nice job there. Rick Neuheisel will stop in at 1 o'clock. You know, he calls games for ESPN and ESPNU on Sirius XM. And so he watches all of these college quarterbacks. And I think he's got pretty good insight on all of them. So we'll talk to Rick Neuheisel about that at 1 o'clock. At 1:30, my buddy Doug Farrar. I've known Doug for a long, long time. You would have hung out with Doug if we would have gone to the Combine. Because Doug usually hangs out with us and Will Carroll, and we go somewhere to go drink or something. So we missed you missed out on it, but next year we'll torture Doug by having you meet him. Anyway, so Doug Farrar, NFL editor of USA Today, draft insider, NFL insider, hardcore NFL guy, going to join us at 1:30. At 2 o'clock, John Murphy, pro personnel director of the Toronto Argonauts. So he's going to join us to talk a little draft also, and that's a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it. So, and of course, we love all of you for tuning in. Remember to give us the thumbs up. Remember to get that share button and pass it on to a friend. Send it to them by text so they can have a little fun today. And they can get all kinds of draft coverage that they're not going to get anywhere else locally. And remember, we're going to be on tonight right around 7:30. We'll be on here on our YouTube channel, and we'll be broadcasting during the draft. And we'll go all the way through the Dolphins pick in the first round. So we'll have plenty to talk about, obviously, with 3 picks. Who knows what's going to happen? I'll give you my thoughts on a lot of the stuff that's developing yesterday into today, and we'll keep you updated also on any changes that are going on draft-wise. If the Dolphins end up moving up, we'll tell you. We'll keep up with that, and we'll give you the latest on any of the draft stuff. So come over to our YouTube page. We will have the picks for you and everything when the commissioner goes to his podium in his basement and makes the selection. We'll air that stuff too. We'll set it all up so you won't miss anything, and then we'll break everything down as the picks are going on, and then we get to the Dolphins draft pick.
How much do you think Goodell spent modifying the basement?
You mean how much did the NFL spend?
Well, yeah,
modifying his basement. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what kind of
an easy 100,000.
I mean, there's some people that put some work into their presentation, And then if you've noticed, there are some reporters that just, or hosts or whatever, that they do nothing and it kind of looks kind of lame. You know what I'm saying?
This is the NFL. So,
although I got to say, I trip out on I think it's Channel 6, I believe. Yeah, I'm sure it's Channel 6, NBC 6. John Morales, we have seen every angle of his house. And by the way, John, you got a really good house. And your backyard is awesome. That's the best shot. That's my favorite shot when he's got the backyard going on, because he's got all these trees and stuff, and it's not just boring trees. They look good, you know. So it's that look he's got in the backyard is really good. Although I got to tell you something, if I was doing it, I would have the one area like I have in my studio, and that's it. And if a producer, hey, let's go to another spot in the house, no, dude, this is what you get. Too bad. Okay.
this is where we're at.
Yeah. Because I see
X marks the spot.
Yeah, I see these people moving around all over their house, and that's definitely the directors and the producers. Well, let's change it up, and the people are like, and I'm like,
they
no.
have aspirations of being in one of these magazines. You know what I mean?
Give me a break, dude. Whatever, bro. This is our shot. You like it? You want me to put something different back there?
Maybe they want to sell their house. They're trying to show it off.
Well, John should be able to sell his house easily, because that thing looks really nice inside. He did a really nice job overall. So anyway, we got a lot of things to talk about today on the program. I think it'll be some draft stuff, right? Something tells me that we're going to be talking a little draft here on the program. And I got to tell you, one of the things that I think that first of all, let's start off with what's been going on with the Miami Dolphins over the last 24, 48 hours, right? And we talked about this in the last couple of days, how it went from Tua to Herbert to now offensive linemen, right? And this is what I love. The Miami Heat have taken a page out of – the Miami Dolphins have taken a page out of the Miami Heat. And everybody's guessing. They have no idea what Miami is doing. And yesterday comes out that they, late towards our show, and then in the afternoon it was, Miami's trying to move up from 5 to 3. And Ian Rappaport reported that they might be trying to get in position for the best tackle possible, right? And one of the things, a caveat that I'll throw out there is, when you look at the list of tackles, it might be something along the lines that they are looking at what they think is the best left tackle on the board. So they want to get the best left tackle on the board. And so Wirfs and Thomas are kind of considered the best left tackle prospects. Willis can play left tackle, a lot of people feel, and so can Becton. But I think a lot of people also feel that they'd be all pros on the right side. Whereas with Wirfs and Thomas, a lot of people feel like that these guys are left tackles for sure. Wirfs can play the right side because he's pretty flexible. Plus, he's a year younger than those guys. That's one of the reasons. Then you've got Austin Jackson, Ezra Cleveland, and Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, John Jones from Houston, all those other cats. That's the next level that's going to go in the second half of that first round. Some of those guys are going to go in that area. And so I'm thinking maybe they're trying to position themselves to get the best left tackle. But I got to tell you something, okay? When you look at everything that they're doing, if you're going to move up from 5 to 3, and we're splitting hairs and we're making all kinds of arguments with Wirfs and Thomas, okay? And the reason why I pick Wirfs over Thomas is only one thing. He's a year younger. That's it. So as thinking as a football guy, if they're about even, I'm going to take the younger player, the guy that still has even more time to grow, and I might keep him a year longer. I don't know. That kind of stuff. So, because I love Thomas, but Wirfs,
you got to factor in everything
Right.
to objectively and to weigh it out and get everything value.
They're like this. So worse for me is just, just a little bit. That's all. It's not much. It's not much, but I want worse. I think I've been pretty consistent on that for months now.
Actually, going back to last year.
Yeah, it's like Tristan Wirfs has been the guy that I wanted from the get-go. So we'll see what happens. But here's where what I love is everybody's guessing. You know what that means, right? That means the Dolphin hierarchy is not talking to anybody. That's why it's not getting out. That's why Rappaport can't get it. That's why Schefter can't get it. That's why Salguero can't get it. That's why Barry Jackson can't get it. That's why Beasley can't get it. That's why Shad can't get it. Perkins. I don't know how many other people on the beat, whatever, but you know what I'm saying. That's what's going on. Alan Poupar.
Shows that we're together, man.
Right, exactly. And it also shows that you are disciplined and you're not allowing anybody inside that force field. And so that's why everybody's guessing. And so let's do this. Let's grab, we've been drawing all over our chalkboard, right? Well, it's Tua. No, it's Herbert. No, it's offensive tackle. So which one is it? Is it Wills? Is it Wirfs? Is it Thomas? Is it Becton? Where are they going? Right? So let's do this on the board. Let's grab the eraser. Let's erase this whole thing. Okay? Let's see through the trees. Let's stop with all the BS when it comes down to all of this. You're moving up from 5 to 3 if you do, because you're worried about the Chargers possibly moving up to 3. And because you're not convinced with Justin Herbert, you want to take Tua. And so at 3, you locked Tua in. Because Burrow's 1, Young is 2, and then now 3 is where the draft starts. Really, the draft starts at 3. I mean, everything else is
the first 2 moves are givens.
They're done already.
Yep.
They've been done for months, bro. The first 2 picks are done. If they take the whole 10 minutes, walk over and smack the crap out of them. We should. We should.
1 and 2 is da-da.
We should. Bastards are going to take. We're going to wait 20 minutes to get to that 3rd pick. We're going to wait 30 minutes to get to that 3rd pick. Because that's what's going to end up happening. Nobody's going to give you the world for Chase Young. That in order for you to part with Chase Young, it would have to be a Mike Ditka type move or a Mike Lynn type move. So I don't know if there's any GMs out there with Mike because they seem to be the stupid ones. So if there's a Mike out there, if you guys have a Mike in your GM, then maybe your possibility of being the stupid one to trade up and give up, like entire drafts or something.
Is that person going to wear a dress like Ricky Williams?
I could. You never know. You never know. But see, I think you're doing all of this because you're going to get Tua. Let's sift through the BS, okay? This whole story about Marino liking Herbert, kiss my ass, bro. I don't believe any of that. I believe the Dolphins have planted all this stuff about Herbert, too. I believe they planted everything about offensive tackle. I believe they gave Tua the cold shoulder on purpose. I believe the owner says Tua's an injury-prone player on purpose. I think everything's been done on purpose.
Total misdirection.
Total
every turn.
Everything has been a misdirection because they're taking Tua at 3.
Oh, I hope.
No,
you're not right, man.
No, I am right. I am right. I'm 1,000% right. Watch. Watch. It's too obvious now. It's too obvious. You really don't go from 5 to 3 for a tackle.
It's overkill. Overkill on the shading.
Yes, it's just way too much already at this point.
Makes sense.
Everything has been a misdirection away from Tua. Everything. You name it. It's been. Turn off your mic there, I think, or whatever.
You're killing me over here, man.
I get it, but I'm just being honest. I'm just breaking it down the way I see everything going on. Okay?
You're connecting the dots, man, and it totally creates a picture, man.
Right.
It makes sense.
I mean, think about it. To me, it becomes obvious now at this point. You know what I mean? When that Herbert story came out, that Albert Breer got it from somewhere, that Marino likes Herbert, that to me is a plant, bro. A total plant. You're going to tell me a dude that acts almost like a mama's boy, Marino's going to admire that? Come on, man. Marino admires Joe Burrow, who says he can score 15 points in an NBA game. Marino loves Joe Burrow because he grabs a cigar after the game and says, I'm the man.
I was just going to say that.
You know?
Firing of the cigar, bro.
Marino likes Joe Burrow. That's the guy that when Marino puts on the film, he goes, that effing guy's got it. You know, that, how the Pittsburgh guys talk, how Marino behind the scenes, not the guy you hear in podiums in public. He's dropping the F-bombs going, that effing guy's got it. Okay? There is no way any of this matches. Okay? Because if I'm telling you there's not much of a difference between Wirfs and Thomas, okay, then why
do you got to do all this to move to, like, seriously? And that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, they must think that one tackle is so much more superior than the other.
And it's not true.
And it's exactly.
No, it's not true because I talked to the pros.
It doesn't make sense.
And we'll have Littlebridge on today. He's broken down all those offensive linemen. We had Max Starks on 2 days ago. I mean, that was one of the best interviews out there. I don't know if you missed the Max Starks interview. Was that yesterday or the day before? I forgot. Anyway.
Actually, that was Monday.
That was Monday. Okay, so Max Starks, you got to hear that interview. He breaks down all the linemen. That's a great interview. And Salisbury did a great job of breaking down the quarterbacks, too. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we have done this week that you're not going to get anywhere else. You know what I mean? A lot of good insight from draft people that are involved in all of this. And we'll do more of it today. Today, hey, we'll talk with Neuheisel. I mean, who's going to know the college quarterbacks better than that guy, bro? I mean, come on. You know, he covers it. He's lived it in that college world all his life.
And there's a bunch of them on the West Coast where he's at.
Right, exactly. And John Murphy, I mean, he scouts for a living. He's a personnel director. So we've got all of that going on today on the program. So we'll get some great insight on a lot of these players. And I'm going to ask them about these tackles and how much of a difference, because to me, I just see that going on right now with the Dolphins. That it just becomes too much of a smokescreen now. And when I see that nobody has the information, and think about this, all of the information leads in all roads except Tua. No, it's offensive lineman. No, it's Herbert.
You're killing me, man.
And every time everything that's been associated with Tua has only been media driven. Because what's come from the team has kind of been, well, yeah, we had that interview with him, whatever. The owner said, but he's injury prone. Everything that's come
It's been a downplay. It's been a downplay.
Right, from the team has been totally downplayed. The rest of us are talking about Tua. Okay? Everybody else, whoa, he's a left-handed breeze, and how are they going to pass him up again? And wasn't this whole year about a quarterback? And how do you trade up if you don't get a quarterback? And so you're all talking about it. But it's really just the reporters, the media members, the fans. The
Dolphins have more information on Herbert than anybody else.
Right.
Right?
Right. And there's not a person, a pro personnel person, that tells you Justin Herbert's a star. Not one. Well, if you do this, if you do that, and, he's built like the perfect quarterback. But nobody commits to the guy. I think he's the guy that drops. I keep telling people I think he's going to drop. Tua doesn't drop because Tua's a real quarterback. And so, he's a sack of injuries, but that's what you're hoping for. By the way.
Oh, if it isn't for the injuries, he may be the number one pick, right?
Oh, yeah. No, that's not even. Right? What did Salisbury tell you?
Exactly.
He's the number one quarterback. Yeah. The only reason he's number two only because of Burrow and the injuries. That's it.
Yep.
That's the only reason. They have him ahead of Herbert. Everybody pretty much has him ahead of Herbert. Now, you start looking at all of this. Okay, so we talk about the smoke screens. Let's talk also about the reality now, okay? Because if you take Tua, Daniel Jeremiah is a guy that I've respected for a long time. I know him personally. I knew him when he was a scout for the Eagles and the Browns. And, no, it was the Eagles and the Ravens. Yes, Eagles and Ravens he was a scout for. And I know him from those days. Before he became the television star he is now, I know him from his days of being a scout and bouncing around and stuff. And he does a great job of breaking it all down. And I heard him with a very interesting stat. And, this is the reason why I'm not a Tua believer that he's going to stay healthy at this level. Do you know how many times Tua was sacked on average in Alabama?
Considering the offensive line, I got to think that it's not that high.
Less than one. Just under once a game.
Wow, that's offensive line is kicking butt.
And then he follows up with another stat. He goes, Kyler Murray went to Arizona and got sacked 3 times on average a game. So you're going to get hit more. You're going to get sacked more in the NFL because there's no such thing as a line that is going to stop.
So the guy hasn't really been hit, and he's getting injured all the time.
Right. Yes, that's the point. And that's what you got to worry about with him. You know what I mean? You all know I love the kid as a passer. I mean, I can't tell you enough about that. I just have a hard time believing that he's actually going to stay healthy at this level. But again, like I've said for the last couple of weeks, if they take him, I'm not going to bitch and complain because I understand what they're doing. They're going to take a chance because he's a real quarterback, and he's the best quarterback in this draft, but he can't stay healthy. So they're just hoping that the latter happens, that he can stay healthy, and then he can be the quarterback that you all imagine him to be. And that's it. And if he breaks down, well, then you kind of knew that was coming. You know what I mean? I think you could be really pissed at the Dolphins if he sucks.
You're saying this, and like everything you're saying makes sense. You know how I feel? Us drafting Tua, we're walking into a fight and we got one hand behind our back.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Drafting Tua. Like we're not full go, here we go. We got one hand behind our back.
Well, yes and no, but you could have a hand behind your back if you're bringing in a project quarterback that doesn't know how to play the position and you got to teach him and all that other stuff. So it's at least, IQ-wise, football-wise, you have a real quarterback.
If we do Tua.
So it's not a project in that sense because that actually is a lot harder to solve.
If we do Tua, is Jameis Winston off the table?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So then you have to go get the project guy in the 3rd or 4th round to cover.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
You got to have the
I would do
spot.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know if
man,
they're going to do that.
You got to cover.
I would do that, but I don't know if they're going to do that. You know what I mean?
Smart move. It secures, man.
Yeah, I just think to me, all of this makes sense if you're doing Tua, because that means it's not that I'm not saying that it's the perfect thing to do, but it's the thing that makes sense. It's the thing that kind of goes with everything that's going on right now with the Dolphins.
With Tua's situation with the injury, how much is he going to be able to push Rosen, right?
He can't push Rosen until he's ready to actually take a hit.
So you need another quarterback to have that pushing Rosen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yes.
To help that.
Yes and no, not really.
No?
Actually, no, because Rosen should be pushed already because they just drafted Tua. So that's basically telling Rosen and Fitz, there's the future.
Get your crap together, or here's the door.
Right. So there's but not that's not to Fitz. Fitz knows that his days are numbered now. right? He's back, but he knows that already. So it's good.
He's totally professional.
But in Rosen's point of view, it's like, okay, well, I got booted out of Arizona because they didn't like me and they drafted another quarterback. Now I'm here in Miami, and a year in, they're already drafting another quarterback. So it's up to, like I've said already several times in the last couple months, it's now up to Rosen, dude. Okay, you have volleyed to his side of the court. Now let's see what he does with that volley. Does he slam it? Does he hit it out of bounds? Does he hit it into the stands with frustrations? It's, you know, the days are done with the chances and the excuses and all that other stuff for Josh Rosen. Josh has to now step up, okay? Drew Brees saw that they drafted Phillip Rivers, and he said, oh, crap, I better figure it out. And he figured it out. So Josh Rosen is in his Drew Brees moment now because the Dolphins are going to take a quarterback. Even if it's not Tua, it might be Jordan Love or it might be James Morgan. I don't know. But they're going to take somebody that's going to bring some competition in there. And then that's their draft pick. Okay? Not a bonus pick like they did with Rosen. That all they did was delay their second rounder a year, and they picked up a quarterback in the process. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah, you're using chips.
Yeah, and it's Rosen now is going to see this. It's up to Josh, man. It's up to Josh to ball out. And let me tell you, as a fan, that's what you want him to do. Because you want to have the problem of, wow, well, we've developed Tua, and holy crap, Rosen exploded. What do we do now? Boom. You know what I mean? That would be absolutely phenomenal if you can do something like that. I mean, as a Dolphin fan, that's what you root for. You root for Josh Rosen to play well. You know what I mean? But it's up to Josh already at this point. But the injury stuff, you think about it. Tua was sacked just under once a game with all those injuries. Can you imagine
it's
in the
NFL? It's a really, really horrible ratio, man.
Okay, can you imagine that? That's why I'm saying, imagine him taking the hits that Fitzpatrick took last year. How does he stay healthy then? It's impossible. It is. All right, let's talk about Moodias Dental. We love talking about Eric and his dad. They do an amazing job. The Moodias family owned. 305-821-0231. Whether it's implants or Invisaligns, you call them. If you're in pain right now, they can take care of you if it's an emergency. 305-821-0231. You're quarantined right now. You don't want to be in your house in pain, in your condo in pain. Let's get you out of pain. Let's get you out of discomfort. Call Moodias Dental, and when everything opens up again, you want to fix those teeth, cavities, whatever it is, a root canal, call them. 305-821-0231. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Moodias Dental.
Will reimburse payments up to a total of $1,800 based on purchase and MSRP on approved credit on select models. Excludes tax, tag, title, and includes $8.99 dealer fee. Offer ends 5/4/20.
Toyota of Hollywood is open, and we're here to serve you. The safety of our customers and associates is our top priority. Toyota of Hollywood is following strict guidelines, including social distancing and keeping our facilities clean and sanitized. Buy with zero down, 0% APR financing, and we'll make your payments till 2021. Pay up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 2019 pre-owned Camry LE, not $27,000, $16,775. 2020 pre-owned Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Shop and save at our 400,000 square foot dealership at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2019 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
We back. All right, Toyota of Hollywood. We are back here. I see Roger Goodell's showing his what's it called? His basement. All right, there you go. So we're keeping up with everything. We'll see if I just went to the bathroom, so I don't even know if there's anything that happened during my break, but. We'll keep up with everything here. I don't think I see anything right now as a trade. We will find out for you. So far, I don't think I've seen anything with the Dolphins. Anyway, I promised you that Greg Allman would be joining us, of course, from The Athletic. He covers the Bucs on a daily basis, and we all know the Bucs have been making some headlines. First, they added Brady. Now they added his favorite target in Rob Gronkowski. So, Greg, all of a sudden, the locker room gets a little bit more colorful now with the Gronkster in there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about as colorful as they come, I guess, and obviously a good player on the field as well. The two big additions, I don't know if you expected Bucs to add 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers this offseason, but they have.
Yeah, and, in the process, when you're trying to turn a culture around and you're trying to teach people how to win, I see it a lot like what the Dolphins did with Kyle Van Noy. Flores, brought a whole bunch of young guys last year trying to instill that culture. Now he brings a guy like Van Noy in that knows exactly what he's trying to instill. And bringing guys like Brady and Gronk in there, you're talking about guys that are winners, and they know what it takes to sacrifice to win. And guys will lead. Guys will follow leaders like that.
Right. I think you've seen there's a lot of teams that are adding Patriots influences. You look at Flores in Miami, you look at Vrabel in Tennessee, you look at Patricia and Quinn in Detroit. Jason Light, the GM here with the Bucs, had 2 different stints with the Patriots during their Super Bowl run. So yeah, I think it's one of those where if you don't have winning, and the Bucs haven't had winning in a long time, I think one of the easiest ways to get that mentality and that approach back is to kind of import success, if you will. So Brady's been pretty much the opposite of the Bucs. Bucs haven't been in the playoffs since 2007, haven't won in the playoffs since 2003. Postseason success is all that Tom Brady has known. So the idea is that hopefully he can bring what he knows and bring it to a place that doesn't know that very well.
Greg, I was talking about this yesterday on the show. A lot of people I think have the wrong perception of this whole Gronk thing, because it's almost like they talk about his age and that he was off and all the injuries and all that. And it's almost like they're expecting Gronk to be the old Gronk, and that's what Tampa needs. And I don't believe that. I think Gronk needs to be a solid complementary player, because he might be there just as much for his leadership as he is for some of his play, since they do have 2 other tight ends. I don't know if they're going to keep both of them around, but that's another way for those young tight ends, or, Cameron's not necessarily young, but there's a way for those guys to kind of learn off of him too. But I don't think the Bucs need, Gronk from 8 years ago to be on the field.
Right. No, I would agree. They don't need 17 touchdowns from him. I think if they get, another weapon for this offense, if they get 600 yards, 6-8 touchdowns, I think that's huge. And I think that's something that gives Tom Brady another level of comfort and a familiar face in the locker room where he didn't have very many of those. So, even if he's at the level he was in 17, I think that's everything they want him to be. Like you said, with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin, they have plenty of other good targets in the pass game. It's going to make life easier for the other guys around him as well.
Yeah, Gronk hasn't had anything like this around him. Brady has to go back to his days with Moss to talk about a guy like Mike Evans and Godwin there. That's the Actually, Gronk is the guy that's going to end up benefiting a lot from all of this, because the deep safety has to worry about a lot of things with those 2 wide receivers on the edges.
Right. Oh, I don't think Tom Brady's ever had a collection of offensive talent like he has here. Like you said, he's had Moss, he's had Welker, he's had good receivers, but Patriots haven't had a Pro Bowl receiver since 2013, and the Bucs have 2 of them this past year. So, yeah, good for all parties involved, and as long as everybody stays healthy, this will be a fun offense to watch.
So what do you think is the plan for Gronk right now? Because I know it's hard for you right now, Greg. I know you're kind of guessing right now because you're not at camp and you don't get to pick Bruce's brain and all that. But what do you foresee right now?
Yeah, literally, I don't think they know yet. I don't think Gronk knows yet. We asked him yesterday, and he hasn't got a playbook yet. He's had a 1-minute phone call with his new head coach. I think he's met one of his teammates, and that's it. So, no, I don't think they need Gronkowski to be an every down tight end. I think if you're making the most of what you have with him, I think you're trying to preserve him and make sure he's healthy and full go for the postseason. That hasn't been a conversation very long here in Tampa, but I think that's what you want to do, is make sure he helps you get to the postseason and is in great shape for that. That's when he's had his best chemistry with Tom Brady. They have 3 touchdowns in Super Bowls. They have 12 touchdowns together in the playoffs. So that's what he does for you. I think you look at that Super Bowl in 2018, he didn't have a great 2018 season, but he caught the pass that gave them, the the only touchdown in that game. And that's what you want is a guy that makes you better in the playoffs.
Greg, obviously the Bucks are picking number 14, I think it is in the draft. So what direction are they going? Are they going to add to that offensive line? Where do you think the Bucks want to go with that pick?
Yeah, I think that would be their priority. If they had their druthers, I think they'd take a tackle. Now, I don't know that any of the top 4 tackles might be there at 14. So I'm intrigued to see if there's somebody they like enough to trade up and try and get up to 9 with Jacksonville or 8 with Arizona, or trade up and maybe get the second best tackle in this draft instead of the 4th or 5th best tackle. If those top 4 are gone before they're on the clock at 14, they could probably go in a different direction. I don't know if there's any other tackles that are obvious picks at 14. They can trade down, or they can take a D lineman that's there. Lots of different options if those top tackles are off the board.
So you think from tackle they go to D lineman and or tackle for them?
It depends on what's there. I don't think Derek Brown's going to be there.
Right.
If Javon Kinlaw's there at 14, that's a great match for them. And Dominican Sue's 33 years old. They have to be ready for after he's gone. If both of those D tackles are gone, honestly, there should be a really good receiver there at 14. And they have Evans, they have Godwin, but Godwin's a free agent this time next year. And there's really very few teams in the NFL that are paying 2 receivers $15 million a year. So that would insulate them just in case they can't afford to keep Godwin if they got a Jerry Jeudy or a Henry Ruggs or something like that at 14. If they want to get a pass rusher, like you said, if they want to get an outside linebacker, Kayla Chasen should be there at 14 as well. So there's lots of options.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Good stuff there. Greg, you are a stud, my brother. I appreciate you taking the time to join us, and especially on short notice on a busy day today and draft day. But thank you, my friend, and keep doing the great work you do at The Athletic, man. Thank you.
Oh, no, thanks very much. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the draft tonight.
You got it, Greg. You be good. There you go. Greg Allman from The Athletic talking a little Bucks. So they're going to go in that direction. I love Javon Kinlaw. I don't think he'll be there at 14 for them. I think he'll be gone by then. He should be. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. That dude was unblockable, bro. I really like him a lot. I know Brown's the number 1 guy, but I don't think there's that much of a drop off from Brown to Kinlaw, to be honest with you. I think Kinlaw is going to be a stud at the next level. That would be one hell of a pick. See what we got here. Don't forget to give us the thumbs up while you're watching there on YouTube. Also, share the link. Grab that little arrow. Share it. Send it to a friend on text. Post it on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Reddit, you name it.
I have to say, man, I was kind of feeling like, let's go a little pep in my step.
Right.
You killed it with this Tua thing, bro. I gotta tell you.
Oh, well, I'm just being honest, man.
I know. It's just,
it's
You kiboshed my jibe here, man. My mojo.
You have something on over there because every time you open you have the iPad on or something because we're hearing it. Anyway, so Bromar goes, flip-flops. I didn't flip-flop. I'm all right. You guys, what you don't do is you don't listen, okay? If it's up to me, I take the tackle at 5. But I understand taking Tua. It's not that I flip-flop. It's just I get it. I've been telling you guys, not that I would pick him, but I get it. Because you're going to take a chance on the quarterback. And if you hit on the quarterback, then good. And if you don't, you got a boatload of other picks. Got a bunch of questions here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. Got to get to that. Ray says, good morning, Big O. It's Christmas in April. Happy draft day. Can't wait to hear your opinions. Much respect. Go Fins. Thank you. Appreciate all of you out there. Leo says, I have the feeling the Dolphins will make a horrible mistake drafting an undersized, weak, injury-prone, broken-down QB and set this franchise back ages. Well, they've got 13 other picks, so I don't think you're necessarily set back.
With 13 picks, we should be able to overcome 1 pick. Come on.
Yeah. Again, if you know what to do in the draft, the rest of the draft should be really good. They ain't moving up to get a hurt QB that needs a year to recover. Makes no sense. Well, if it's the best passing QB in the draft, that's where it makes sense because you're willing to pray or hope that he stays healthy, and then you got yourself a hell of a player. Carlos says, Saints and Niners own the NFC. Good luck to the Bucks with Brady and Gronk. DraftKings says, O wants everyone. Then the next episode, O doesn't want them because they sleep sideways. Exactly. That's true.
Oh, can you do me a favor, man?
I sleep sideways. So I don't know. I would like people that sleep sideways. I would draft you if you sleep sideways. Okay? If you sleep on your chest, I'm not drafting you.
Could you do me a favor?
What's that?
That info about Tua, like, average getting sacked once a game. Please send that to the Dolphins. Yeah. The guy hasn't even been hit. Yeah. And look how often he's hurt. Please.
Looks like they're trading up to 3, and if they do, it's going to be for Tua. I would be shocked if they pass on a QB. I would too. I don't think they're trading up for a tackle. I just don't. If they're trading up for the tackle, it's what I told you, that they think that this is the best left tackle out of the group, and they must feel that there's a difference, and they've got to trade for it. That's it. That's the only thing.
And a glaring.
Only thing I can come up with.
It's got to be a huge difference, correct?
Yeah. Oh, did the Bucks medical team confirm that Gronk finally healed from those broken bones, ankles that Kenyon Drake gave him in the Miami Miracle? I'm just making sure he's okay. They cleared him, baby. He's in one piece, sort of, kind of, maybe. Matt Cole, I'll take 2 if it's at 5. Let's see. What else do we have here? Man, there's so many coming in. You guys are awesome. Big O, if the Dolphins take Tua, I think it's because they know Rosen is going to ball out next season. Shout out from Toronto, Dolphins fan since 83. Best sports show ever, my man. Fins up. That is Saj McKinley. Thank you, Saj. Appreciate you, man. Keeping it locked here every day. Man of 1,005 holes says, I trust Greer will make the best choices for the Fins team tonight. My guess is they'll take Simmons, Love, and another tackle with their first 3 picks. I won't knock them if they choose Tua. There you go. I mean, it's because you know what they're doing if they take Tua. That's all. It's pretty simple, you know? And here's the other thing that's kind of developed from all of this, okay? This is the funny part about, and it kind of reminds me of almost life. It kind of reminds me of my current job that I've had for 30 years, that you'll never make everybody happy. Never. It's impossible. Okay? And this pick, think about it. If you pick Tua, there's a whole bunch of people that are going to slam you. He's broken down, he's injured, and this and that, and he'll never last, which is all legit. Everybody that criticizes the Dolphins for taking Tua because he's broken down, you cannot criticize them because they're right. And then if you take the offensive lineman, oh, man, the whole year you tanked and you lost all these games and you sucked and you did it for an offensive lineman? Because, drafting offensive linemen is so unsexy. It just doesn't get you excited. You know what I mean? Even though anybody that knows football, if you don't have O linemen and you don't have D linemen, you're not going to win a lot.
It's one in the trenches, man.
Yeah, and
as your offensive line goes, your offense goes.
You're going to win a ton when you dominate on the offensive line. With or without a great quarterback. You may not win a championship every time, but you're going to do well. And so that's the thing about this pick now. This pick is sure to piss half the fan base off.
No, you're doing it. I'm already feeling it right now, man.
It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what direction they go in. There is no way that Chris Grier can win this draft at the number 5 or number 3 pick, whatever they do. Because at 3 or 5, they're either picking a quarterback or a tackle, right? It's probably what happens. Watch them pick like a linebacker. And they're, whoa, we didn't see that one coming. Watch them pick Brown at defensive tackle. Whoa, we didn't see that coming. But they're probably going, my guess is the quarterback and then the tackles. And I don't know exactly which tackle. I do know, I'm almost 1,000% sure that it's Tua. Okay? Because when stuff comes out that they like Herbert, but they don't like Tua, then that tells me that it's the reverse. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, it's like people are hey, no, I heard the Dolphins like Tua. Well, then, dude, they're planning that because they haven't let anything out from the get-go. So this is, and the other thing that sets up the fury behind all of this is it's the process of it, that it's built up over time. It's the last couple of months of talking about this, debating. And those of you that are anti-Tua because of his injuries, you're entrenched now because you've been talking and discussing about it all the time. Those of you that want offensive linemen, you're entrenched right now because you want it. Very few people call me or reach out on the text and say, Herbert's the guy. It's very, very few. And let me tell you something. I don't find pro people that tell me that guy's going to be a stud. I haven't gotten one pro person that told me that guy's going to be a monster.
Let me ask you, right?
Not one.
You're further along if you get an offensive lineman and go sign Jameis Winston than taking that pick and just having Tua, correct? You have more.
Yes.
With the offensive lineman and signing Jameis Winston.
Yes. And you'll have more picks too because
exactly. You're keeping one in your pocket.
Yeah, you're spending less picks on the and you're still getting a young quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the thing about
a guy that's played
Jameis.
in the NFL, right?
The guy's thrown 5,000 yards in the NFL. I know he's thrown 5,000 interceptions too, but I mean,
many a pick six.
Got to take the bad with the good. You know what I'm saying? It's
a little too much bad, though.
Yeah. No, it is a little too much bad. But this pick won't make anyone happy.
You're absolutely right.
Like even if they pick Tua, it's not like I'm going to jump for joy because I can't jump for joy until I can actually see him stay on the field.
There's going to be a faction.
Because I almost think I almost expect him to break down on a consistent basis. So it's going to be hard for me to be excited about Tua.
I feel like it's a wasted pick,
A lot of people are going to feel that way.
And obviously there are the faction of Tua people. It's I don't know if it's 50-50 where it's at. I mean, you probably put a poll out before tonight's, to get a feel of where it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right, man. There's no way that there isn't a faction of Dolphin fans that ain't going to be unhappy. It's just going to – that's the way it's going to be.
Carlos Madrigal says we should draft 2 QBs like Redskins with Tua and Morgan. I've been saying that for months, that if you do take Tua, take a what's it called, a project quarterback later on in the draft, like a Morgan, like a Davidson, like a Nate Stanley, somebody like that, a Luton from Oregon State, something like that. I wish they do something like that too. We've talked about it many, many times. I don't know if they will. But, if you're going to take 2 and you're going to take that chance, you might as well get another guy and have 4 quarterbacks on the roster at this point. Leo says, any QB will be better than Tannehill. Well, I mean, if they're QBs, they're better than Tannehill because they're actually QBs, not an athlete with the ball in their hands. Oh, you look like a Hialeah sandwich maker with those gloves. Stay safe. Okay. Do you like
you know what?
lettuce and tomato?
Hey,
do you want picos?
You know what I'm thinking? Latin America, 8th Street. The way the guys do the little whole flipping,
that puts
like
on a show.
Benihana.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. The guy in Coral Way. I don't know. Is that Latin American Coral Way still there? I don't even know.
I would hope so, man. That's
I don't know. Via Italia closed. I mean, I never thought Via Italia.
But that's like the La Carreta.
I thought Via Italia in Coral Way would be open forever. I think it closed like right after the hurricane or something. I think it had damage from Hurricane Andrew, and then they never recovered. I think that's how it was. Anybody know the history of Via Italia? Man, that place was good. I used to go there I used to go there at least once a month with the wife to Via Italia. Their garlic rolls were excellent. It was a really good place, man. What a shame. Really good restaurants should never close. And Via Italia was solid, man. Solid right off of 32nd and Coral Way. like 31st or 30th or whatever it was, right off of it. That thing was just awesome. That didn't go open up somewhere else, right? And I don't know anything about it. Maybe it did, and I don't even know that Via Italia moved and opened somewhere else.
Yeah, but Coral Way is kind of got a little happening more than it used to. You know what I mean? So why would you move from that spot?
I don't know. I forgot. I don't know the story behind it.
You know.
I don't know the story behind it, but something happened to that place. I don't know, because it didn't seem to me like it was ever a lack of business, because every time I went there, there was always people, bro.
Easy. 50 years? 40 years?
I don't know about 50, but yeah, I would
every
say really close
bit
to
of
40.
Majority of our life.
Yes, I would say at least in the 30s to 40. It was there. Let's see. Eric Muria says, hit them thumbs up, guys. That's right. Give us that thumbs up. Let's see. I Got Game New Jersey says, Josh Rosen has no leadership skills. Players don't like him. That's why Fitzpatrick started. No, Fitzpatrick started because he could actually play the game better. It's not so much about liking or unliking. They had a better chance to win with Fitzpatrick. But you're right. It's not like Rosen is not known as Mr. Personality. Love the talk. Just going to roll with whoever they pick. We just don't have access to information that NFL teams get, and the NFL is a smokescreen central. As a Dolphin, so I'm praying for a great draft. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you there. Eric Dorman says, I'd rather bring in Cam than Winston. No, Cam, no, because he's 31 and he only plays one kind of game. He has to run in order to play his game. And he has taken such a beating, you don't even know if he's healthy. Winston is a real quarterback, a pocket passer. So you have a longer shelf life. You have a better passer by miles because Cam Newton is a mediocre passer. He's not accurate at all. You know, Winston's thing is decisions, not necessarily accuracy. Cam Newton is accuracy, injuries, and the style of play, which then forces you to get a backup quarterback that is like him. And those things aren't easy. You know what you have to do? You sign Cam and draft Jaylen Hertz. That's what you would do. If you want to go that Cam route, you bring Cam in, you groom Jaylen Hertz behind him, so Cam plays for a year or two, Jalen's ready, he steps in, you get rid of Cam. That's the only way I could see you doing it. Okay? Big O, have you ever seen a guy drafted and traded in the same draft? Yeah. It's happened. Let me see if I can think of guys that were drafted and traded. I know it's happened several times over the years. I'm just brain farting right now. But, yeah, it's happened where a guy gets drafted and then traded because it was just one of those things that was part of the deal already. You were already picking him for a team or something like that. I think that's happened. I'm just trying. Let me see it. Let me marinate a little bit in my mind and see if I can remember that scenario in the draft.
Why don't you take a break, man? We got to get Mark.
Yes, we do. Mark Lillibridge is coming on now. Steve's Pizza has awesome garlic rolls. Yes, they do, David. But I'm talking about Via Italia, okay? I want the Via Italia story. What the hell happened to Via Italia on Coral Way? Andre V says, I bet Winston's 2-year deal contract, man. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Brooklyn Rob says, Dolphins have played it safe since Marino. Time to take a chance. I think that's what they're going to do, man. That's what all of this tells me. Big O, who will be the surprise slide in the first round? It'll be Herbert. Herbert's going to be the guy that's going to slide. I don't believe people are that in love with Herbert.
You think he gets past
San Diego?
The Chargers.
Or the Chargers, I'm sorry.
The Raiders, the Colts.
Well, definitely the Colts.
The Patriots. The Patriots. You don't think that nobody's
definitely not. There's no way the Patriots picked that guy.
Really?
No way the Patriots picked that guy. None. No.
Not a Belichick guy, huh?
No, I can see the Raiders screwing up and picking him up.
Oh, that's Gruden, man.
No, that's Gruden because, I mean, he likes Marcus Mariota. I mean, what do you expect? And he said, after watching Marcus Mariota be a complete disaster in the NFL, can't pass, doesn't have a touch pass, always injured, okay? He still, after he went out on a limb on draft day and said this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then he fails miserably.
Well, he's got to
he still
validate.
signs him.
He's got to validate his story from draft day 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. R. Rod says, Big O, do you trade second-round picks for Trent Williams and Joe Tunney? No, I would not. Tunney, yes. I would not trade for Trent Williams. He's 32, bro, in July. And he wants big money. I'm not giving up a pick and big money to a guy that's 32 years old. Hell no, bro.
Hold that thought. 12 o'clock, brother.
Let them be the dumb ones. All right, Mark Lillibridge, former NFL linebacker, agent, contract negotiator, scout. He's done it all, baby. Check out his Twitter page, Bridges Football. He breaks down all the players going into the draft, does an excellent job breaking it down with video and explanation. We will get that explanation personally next, right here on The Big O Show, live from Toyota of Hollywood.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
Will reimburse payments up to a total of $1,800 based on purchase and MSRP on approved credit on select models. Excludes tax, tag, title, and includes $8.99 dealer fee. Offer ends 5/4/20.
Toyota of Hollywood is open, and we're here to serve you. The safety of our customers and associates is our top priority. Toyota of Hollywood is following strict guidelines, including social distancing and keeping our facilities clean and sanitized. Buy with zero down, 0% APR financing, and we'll make your payments till 2021. Pay up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 2019 pre-owned Camry LE, not $27,000, $16,775. 2020 pre-owned Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Shop and save at our 400,000 square foot dealership at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2019 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
We back. Coming to you live from Toyota of Hollywood. Yes, sir. Why am I hearing a feedback here? Okay. You there, Bridge?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. What's up, Big O? Happy draft day, baby.
Oh, happy draft day, my man. What? Why are we hearing? Why am I hearing myself? Bridge, can we call you back, my brother?
Yes, you can.
All right, let's do that. Let's call you back because something's going on here, and I'm hearing myself in return here, which is ridiculous. It would be annoying. Were you guys hearing me the second time around? Just out of curiosity, tell me on the text there if you're hearing it, or is it just in my ears that I was hearing that stuff. Anyway, we'll get Mark Lillibridge on now, former NFL linebacker, scout, agent, contract negotiator, one of the best follows on Twitter at Bridges Football. You'll see his breakdown of players, all kinds of players, which is a beautiful thing. Let's see. No first-round draft. Okay. Nothing there. Big O, you are having a live draft show tonight. I'm used to hearing you on draft night. Yes, I will be on tonight. All right, 7:30 tonight. Oh, so you guys were hearing it. Okay. All right, so yes. So there we go. Now let's see if we could get him on now, and we'll try to work it in. Remember, you guys can reach out to us on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, which is 786-322-1105. That's 786-322.
We got Mark for you, sir.
1105. All right, let's go.
Yo, what up?
What's up, baby? How you doing? You doing all right?
Dude, man, it's draft day. Are you kidding me? It's like Christmas for football guys.
I know. Bridge, you've been a player, and you've been in on the other side as a scout and coach and all of that stuff. And when I'm reading through the trees now with the Dolphins. All right, so apparently the meeting with Tua was kind of a cold shoulder meeting and all that stuff, because apparently his agent put it out that, hey, they weren't as embracive as people thought. The owner said, yeah, Tua's all right, but he is injury prone, and I'm not in charge of the picks, but I know that he has an injury history. And then stuff comes out that they love Herbert, and then yesterday that they're trying to move up from 5 to 3 to get a left tackle. My brother, it sounds to me like a load of BS has been spread out over the last couple of months, and it's all Tua. And it has nothing to do with tackles or Herbert or anything else. Everything else has indicated they don't like Tua or they're not going to Tua, which now tells me it's definitely Tua. Are you feeling like the same thing, that this has all been BS from the Dolphins from the get-go?
Probably, and that's what the best part about this is, especially this week leading up to this draft. I mean, Gettleman's doing a great job with the Giants, and yesterday it was funny that I don't know why the Dolphins would ever move up 2 spots to give away any resources to get a tackle when the top 4 tackles, all of them are very, very equal. So I think that's what this bluster is about. I mean, we saw Gettleman do it. He talked about, hey, we're doing our homework on all the quarterbacks because you just never know. Well, yeah, you do. You have Daniel Jones. You're fine. You're not going anywhere. This isn't like Josh Rosen and then going to get Kyler Murray because your new head coach fell in love with him. I do think that the Dolphins. I do think the Dolphins like Tua. I don't know if they like Tua enough at 5, and here's why I say that, Big O, because I think you can. In my mind, I think with the firepower you have and all the draft picks they have, I think they could take the best player available at 5. Be that a tackle, I think it's Isaiah Simmons. I think Isaiah Simmons would add a huge dynamic benefit to that defense, and especially for a defensive head coach. And then I think you could do something with a package of 18 and 26 to move up to go get one of those next quarterbacks. Now, if that's maybe you move up. I don't know what it would take. Again, I haven't done the research. I haven't sat and done the numbers and said, well, you got to give up. Hey, maybe the Chargers at 6 will be willing to do something. Maybe the Panthers at 7 are willing to do something. Maybe you go up and you can get Tua. But maybe if there's not that big of a gap between where you think Tua is and where Justin is, or even maybe Jordan Love, then you can sit where you are or be able to kind of negotiate that and work those scenarios and those boards to make that move. Again, if it's 2 at 5, it wouldn't surprise me, but I just think I don't know if there's that big of a gap in my mind for the dynamics of what Tua is. I think he's a very efficient player. I mean, he's a very smart player. I think he's a national championship player. He got the pedigree, done all the things you want to do. There's just something in my mind that I'm not a Justin Herbert fan either. Like, I think there's some great qualities to him. But I just like Jordan Love. And so for me, I just think there's an added dimension of what his playmaking capability can be. So, I think you're probably onto something, but it wouldn't also surprise me if they go away from quarterback at 5 and then maybe get him with a package with 18, 26, or maybe say, second round or something like that to get the quarterback they want later, or he might fall to him at 18.
Let me ask you, Bridge, because every time I talk to pro people, not one of them has told me, oh, yeah, Herbert's going to be a stud. Not one of them. Nobody. I don't know where people look at this kid like he's going to be a star and lead your team when they didn't see it in college. And so I'm wondering, where do you stand with this kid? Because I know he is built like the prototypical quarterback, but he doesn't play with that kind of moxie that you want. So, wasn't it your boy Marino? Didn't he come out and kind of compare him to himself the other day? That's another smokescreen, dude. Because you and I know Marino is Joe Burrow, bro. Marino is smoke the cigar guy. It's, Joe Burrow just said in an article yesterday, I'd score 15 points in an NBA game. That's Marino, bro. I can throw it through, you tell Marino, hey, the weather is bad. He'll tell you, I can throw it through a hurricane. That's another part of this smokescreen. When I heard that, the story that he likes Herbert, I'm like, there's no way, dude. You two aren't even close to each other, man. You're not even wired the same way.
And I think that's what makes this so fun. But you're right. There's so many guys that I trust that know quarterbacks that I've talked to that don't like Herbert. And that it was funny because for me at the combine, you saw there was a story that was out there that he was the quarterback that was in there when the offensive linemen were doing their bench press, that Herbert was in there like cheering the guys on. And I thought, you know what, that sounds like it's almost forced, right? Like an agent said, hey, you need to go show that you're a really good player and that you're a good leader and that you have this juice. So go in there and be that guy. And so every time, I hear these stories. Now, that being said, I've talked to guys at Oregon that love him, that have nothing to say about him. Granted, now he did go to school there and he did stay and when he could have come out last year and a couple other things. But there's not, you don't see, I'm a big proponent when I scout players. I watch the quarterback when he comes off the field. I want to know if the receivers want to talk to him. I want to know if the offensive, especially the offensive linemen, if they want to talk to this guy, if they want him to be down there talking to him and hanging around with them. And you just don't get that feeling from him. And so I'm not saying he can't be a good pro. He looks the part, man. He's a good-looking sucker. But I just I don't know. And I don't think he's the number 5 quarterback. But again, I didn't think Mitchell Trubisky was either, and he went number 2. So I think this is definitely in the eye of the beholder. But you know what? And if the Dolphins think that he, he's the face and he can be the guy to carry the team, I'm okay. I think that at 18, you're probably okay with that. But definitely not. I don't think above that at all.
All right, so if there's any truth to the story that they're trying to move up from 5 to 3 to get the best tackle in the draft, because obviously the draft starts at 3, because we all know Burrow's 1 and Chase is 2. Those are layups and givens. And I hope these bastards don't make us wait 20 minutes for both picks. Come on, man. Let's just make the damn picks. Let's go. But at 3, now does that bridge? You've broken down all these big time linemen that are at the top of the draft. Is there a drop off from 1 to 2? Is there a guy? Because what I was thinking, because talking to some guys around the league, is when you talk about those top tackles, a couple of them are viewed as elite left tackles. The other guys are looked like, okay, they can play left tackle, but they'll be Pro Bowlers on the right side, is what I'm told. Sure. So is it worth going 5 to 3? Is there a difference? Is there a guy that you say, or 2 that you lock in at 3 and you say, okay, this gives me one of the 2 best guys because I know I can put him on the left side? Does that make any sense at all?
It does. It makes a ton of sense. Becton's more your left, the guy from Louisville, Mekhi Becton. He's more your big, long, physical guy, young kid. And he's kind of out of the group. He started out kind of as number 1, and then he's kind of now fallen to probably number 4. I think you're talking about Jedrick Wills from Alabama. He is really good. He can play both sides of it. Has done left, has done right. I think you can put him in at left and be pretty comfortable on the left side. I think he's the most technically sound of the group. Tristan Wirfs from Iowa is probably out of that group, he's my favorite, and for two reasons, which he shouldn't be because I'm an Iowa State grad, so I don't like anything Hawkeyes. But I think the history of what Iowa linemen do in the NFL is unprecedented. And I mean, maybe besides Wisconsin, those guys you always just see guys that once they get in, even if they're late round picks, they have 8, 10, 12-year careers. And so I think he does that. He's athletic. He plays primarily right side, but I know he can play some left side. He's done it. And then you got Andrew Thomas at Georgia. I really like him. And I don't think that, he's done right too. He can do left. I think all of them, it's not as easy as people think it is. It's not just like, hey, plug and play and let's go. But I do think that you could probably put, him in at right or left side and you'd be set. There's 2 sleepers in this thing and maybe 3. There's a kid named Ezra Cleveland from Boise State. I'm not as high on him as everybody else is, and I know he played hurt this last season. But there's Josh Jones. I actually, in my latest mock draft, my final mock draft, I have him going to the Dolphins at 26. He's a guy that is he doesn't know what he's doing yet. Technically, you can just see there's a lot of issues that he has just with some sets and things like that. But athletically, he might be the best out of the group. And I think he can play. I know he can play guard as well. So you can maybe do what you did with Tunzel the first year, put him in at guard, and then you slide him out to tackle year 2. And then there's Austin Jackson from USC and another guy that people will be talking about. So there's a possibility that there's 6 or 7 offensive tackles go in the first round. I don't think there's enough for me. What I would have to move up to and give up to go from 3 to 5, I think you can get that same guy at 5. So I would not do that at all. The only reason I would ever see them moving up, they don't need Jeff Okudah. They got stud corners with Byron and Jaden. Unless they thought Isaiah Simmons they had to get him at 3, which I don't think they have to. I don't know why they would move up. I think Miami's sitting perfectly at 5. And I think they're going to get a good player at whatever position they go to.
Yeah, that's why, dude, I'm convinced that if they make the move to 3, they're doing it just to lock in Tua to make sure that the Chargers don't leap them.
Sure.
And that's it, because they know that nobody's going to go to 2 or 1 because those teams aren't really – you're not trading the best player in the draft in Chase Young. And Joe Burrow, you have to take him if you're Cincinnati. You have no choice. Yep. So Miami knows that if they go to 3, they will get any other player on the board that's out there except those 2 guys, and they lock it in. That's, to me, is what makes sense. I was thinking about the whole thing. Well, maybe they like one guy at left tackle more than any, and that's why they're going to move up. But it just doesn't make enough sense for me. This has to be all about Tua, and everything else they've done is to throw us off the Tua trail. You know what I mean? Yeah, and dude, I swear to you, when I heard that story that Marino likes Herbert, I was like, come on, bro. Come on. There's no way Marino and Herbert can ever coexist, hang, or alike, or anything like that, dude. Him and Joe Burrow, they can play pool, they can watch a game, they can guzzle some beers, they can shoot the S. Herbert, man, I don't know, man. And that Rose Bowl, I saw him crying like he was a baby, like he had won. And then I'm looking at the tough-ass offensive lineman coming by and, like, patting him on the shoulder, and they're stoic. And they're like, yeah, man, all right, good. And I'm like, dude, this is your quarterback, and he's crying like a little girl here to win the ball. And I'm like, come on, bro, I need you to be more of a stoic dude and be in charge here. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to shed a couple tears later on by yourself that this is the end of your career. That's fine, but I don't know if you saw that scene, but if you go back and watch the bowl game, he's crying, and then the big linemen that are blocking for him are, like, consoling him. And it's like, I don't know, dude.
Well,
I don't know.
But maybe they don't even go quarterback. You got Josh Rosen. I mean, he's a former first-round pick. Why don't you just ride him and Fitzmagic for another year? And then really, if there's no football or it's late football in 2020 anyways, then you just get what we do now, we tank for Trevor. And you get him next year, right? Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. You know what? I will say, though, I will say this for real. if there's not football, or if there's not going to be an offseason, the Saints already came out and said that. Sean Payton said that they're not going to do any virtual coaching on this offseason. Then I would, if I'm Dolphins, I would use some of my later stock picks. I would trade a lot of those in to try to see if I could get some stuff, get moved back into 2021 and stock up to 2021, because I think that 2021 draft is going to be a lot bigger, because there might be, part of this year might be wasted, and some of these guys are going to be like redshirted years. I would try to have as much ammo for 2021 as I could.
All right, so let's have some fun with this, Bridge. All right, so if Miami doesn't go quarterback at 5, and they do go tackle, or they go Derek Brown, or they go Simmons, or whatever they end up getting there, but no quarterback. So you mentioned Love. Why do you like Jordan Love? Because I like him too. Not at 5. I like him more at 18, or maybe maneuver a little bit in to try to get him, something along those lines. What do you like about him? Because I got to ask you about Jordan Love before I ask you about the next tier, because it almost seems like Jordan is right after the upper tier and in between before you get to the other level guys.
Well, I think people feel really comfortable with their evaluation of Tua. I think people feel comfortable with their evaluation of Joe Burrow. I think people feel solid with their evaluation of Justin Herbert. I think there's enough film out there. I think they played at big-time colleges. I think you've seen them at the highest levels. I think there's a case that if Tua doesn't get hurt, that he might be competing with Joe for the number 1 spot. I don't know that, but I think that he leading into it, right? It was the tank for Tua, and he was the guy coming into this into the off season, or into the college season. So for me, though, with what Jordan Love has done for himself is, if you look at his film in 2018 when he had Yost as his offensive coordinator, and he had a pro-style offense, and the things that he was asked to do in that offense, he was dynamic. I mean, he was a difference maker. And then you watch the film in 19 when they changed the offensive philosophy, and they put a little bit more on him, which is fine, but he didn't have the same tools around him on offense either. And so he was asked to do some things that maybe were, I'm not going to say outside his realm, but where he was scrambling a little bit more and doing some things that I think that weren't as zoned in as it was in 18. And so that's where I think there's some throws, now don't get me wrong, there's some throws where you're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But then there's some also throws where you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, that is awesome. And so and I don't want to use this comparison, I don't really like to compare guys, but there's some times where when I was in Green Bay, so I can say this, I was working for the Packers, and so, there's times when Favre throws the ball and you're like, what are you doing? I mean, what did you see? But then there's other throws where you're like, holy crap, this guy's a Hall of Famer. And this guy's he's one of the best in the world. He wasn't ever scared to make that throw. And Jordan Love is not afraid to do that. And there's some comparisons to Patrick Mahomes, and I don't want to put that on a kid either. But there were some things that he does naturally, just with the way he contorts his body and his arm talent and arm angles and things like that you sit and say, okay, Tua can't make that throw. Joe Burrow can't make that throw. Justin Herbert ain't making that throw. And so that's where I think where coaches get mesmerized and enamored with that. And so I think it's what you have with the Tua is how coachable he is, how much of a leader he is, and all this other stuff. I think if you just look at, if you're looking at a piece of clay and you say, okay, man, this thing is going to be, I'm going to turn this thing into the statue of David. That's what Jordan Love can bring to a team, and that's why I think people are so enamored and so excited about him. And that's why I actually think he'll be the number 2 quarterback taken. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying Tua won't be, but it wouldn't surprise me if a team, if Tua doesn't go at 5 to the Dolphins or before that, I really could see the Chargers falling in love with Love as well, and possibly taking him at 6.
I think Jordan Love is one of those guys that's, I don't know, I wouldn't take him at 5. Because I just think there are too many mistakes this year that kind of it didn't really make me comfortable with him overall. But then there are moments like you just said, Bridge, 80% of the guys in the NFL can't make the throws he makes sometimes. Yep. Okay, I mean there exactly are jaw-dropping plays that he makes, and it's wow. And so that's the guy that I say, if you're at 18, you got all that ammo. You can move up and try to, a couple of picks with somebody and maybe take Jordan at that point and get ahead of it. Okay, so now let's go to the third wave of quarterbacks, okay? And there's a couple guys I like, I'll tell you, and you tell me if you like any of those guys or which ones you like. But I do like our guy in our backyard, and James Morgan from FIU. I saw him play here, and then I saw him at the East West also. But at the East West, I saw this kid Davidson from Princeton that I fell in love with. I think this kid, as a late-round pick, is going to be a fun one. Josh Luton from Oregon State, I think is another kid. Nate Stanley from Iowa, I also like as project guys. Give me a project guy that's going to go. Anthony Gordon's another one that I might take a chance on too. Guys that are third, fourth, fifth round, sixth round guys. Give me a guy or two that you love that has NFL qualities. We all know that they'll probably fail, but maybe if he puts it all together, he could, be a Dak Prescott or something like that in the fourth round.
You know what? I like that. I like the QB at, God dang it. Is it Eason?
Oh, yes. That's another one, too. Jacob Eason from Washington. I like him in the second round.
Yeah, you know what? Yes. I really didn't know that was what it was. Jacob Eason. So, yes, I think that's a guy that I really think I think he might be one of those guys in this draft that's going to surprise a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say there's some Minshew to him. I know you want to use that comparison, right? Because it's the same college and things like that. I actually think some of his game is a little bit better than what Gardner is, and why he'll get drafted higher than where Minshew did. Guys that I like.
It's the best arm in the draft. It's the best arm in the draft.
And I think that I like. I know you and I are different on this. I know we talked about this at the combine a little bit. I like Steven Montez from Colorado.
Oh yeah.
And again, that's not a guy. Again, I'm not sitting there saying he's a top, whatever. I think he's a seventh rounder, maybe sixth, seventh rounder free agent type guy. But there's something about it in his game that I just really, like. And I think there's some mistakes he makes, and there's some decisions that I wasn't the highest on. But I love his size. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. Had 19 touchdowns and 9 interceptions on the year. But I just think it's completion percentage of 65%. One of the best, in the league. And so they're in college football. So there's just something about him I just really like a lot.
Montez, huh? Yeah. And Eason, even though he can't move, and when I say best arm in the draft, him and Love actually are competing for the best arm in the draft. But he does have, Eason has a cannon that can make any freaking throw out there. But, a lot of guys are worried because they don't have enough tape on him. And, it's funny how we mention that with him, but then we don't mention it with Burrow. And that's because Burrow went on to, slice up the SEC and win the title. So that's probably why we don't do it with Burrow like we do with Eason. But a lot of guys are worried, too, because Eason bounced around a little bit, and the film is not perfect. There's a lot of stuff in there you got to fix.
Yeah, but you know what? I think there's enough. His size does it. A guy that's interesting for me is, and I have a hard time with just evaluating him, is Jake Fromm. I had Georgia. I just really, man, he's got small hands, smaller guy, but he played in the SEC, had some success in the SEC, but just one of those guys that I just don't know where he fits. One of the guys I think, and I don't.
But you know what? Weird. But you know what? Wait a minute, Bridge. But here's the thing about Fromm. He plays 10 years as a backup. That's what I think.
Sure,
that's when I see him. I just see backup in him, and I see as a guy that's going to float around, and they're going to use him as a coach and as a mentor, as a developer, that kind of stuff. That's what I see him from, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, game manager, perfect, accurate quarterback, good decisions. You're right. He's that guy that just sits he's the Matt Moore or somebody that sits there and just says, hey, I'm good here. And I'm going to be, I'm happy being, the next coach, and then we'll see him be an offensive coordinator and head coach someday. But, the guy that we talk QBs, one of the guys that really intrigues me, and I think he's going to have a good NFL career, is Jaylen Hertz. I just think it's funny to me because it's maybe the personnel, the things that maybe the mechanics and things you don't like about him from a personnel standpoint. I just really think the coaches love him, and the coaches have coached him, talk about him. I mean, he plays tough. He plays when he's hurt. I mean, the guy's a winner. I just think there's just something about him that, I know he doesn't see the field the greatest. I know there's some mechanical stuff you got to work with. But again, I just think he's one of those guys that somebody, I see him being I think he's going to somewhere like Tampa Bay and sitting for a couple of years and working with a Byron Leftwich and working with a Bruce Arians. And all of a sudden now you're, 3 years down the road, you're like, okay, this guy's a pretty good quarterback. We're pretty excited about having him.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're not the first one. A lot of people we've brought on this week, they really like Jaylen Hertz. And I know he's also extremely likable. and he's really easy to root for also because he has shown you that he is a professional through and through, even though he's played college ball. But you already know that when he translates to the next level, things aren't going to be too big for him. He's not going to be panicking. He's not going to be pointing fingers. I mean, he has already been through hell and back and handled it better than most of us would have. Because I know I wouldn't have been able to handle it as good as he did with what happened to him at Alabama. That kid is all class. And that's the other thing, that when you're bringing in a kid like that, okay, you got to work on some of the football things, but at least I don't have to work on your maturity, your professionalism, your dedication, your character, all of those kind of things. Jaylen Hertz has got that down pat.
Agreed. And you know what? Eason, I do like. I know I use the Gardner Minshew comparison. The other guy I was thinking of, I like Eason, but a guy I think a late sleeper guy for me, more sleeper is Anthony Gordon from Washington State, who did replace Minshew. I really there's something to him. Sage Rosenfeld, of course, Iowa State guy, like myself, former Dolphin. Worked with him this offseason. He had nothing but the glowing things to say about Anthony, and so that's a guy that for fans out there that are looking for a guy later on. That's a guy to kind of keep your eyes on.
I loved him. He had a great week at the. I was dying to see him at the Senior Bowl because I didn't watch a lot of Washington State games, and when I watched them all week, I was like, okay, this Leach did another nice job with another guy, and that he doesn't have a gun. But he does.
Not at all.
But he has a good enough arm to make all the throws, and he also has one of the things that you really, I don't know if you teach it or it's a feel thing, but anticipation. He can throw with anticipation, which, by the way, for young guys, sometimes that's a tough quality to find.
You're not finding that in the NFL. Either you have it or you don't. That's not something you coach up in the NFL. That's just God given. And so I think that's a huge plus for him, as he heads into this and into the season. And that's what I think this is you have your 3-4 quarterbacks that you feel pretty confident with. And then the rest, there's some guys that are just, I'm not going to say you're squeezing your butt, you can hold them on for dear life, but I think you can find some value in some guys, in that 4th, 5th, 6th round that, could be, maybe they're not coming out the gate starters. And I think it's going to be tough for any young quarterback this year to play. I think it's going to be a veteran-driven year because of everything going on with the COVID-19. I think that for every position, but especially at the quarterback, I don't know if we'll have, a lot of quarterbacks that are going to have a ton of rookie success early. But I do think you can, if you get a guy in the middle that you can develop, middle rounds you could develop, you might have some success come 2021.
Well, how about this story that's come in? It says the Dolphins aren't trying to get the 3rd overall pick from the Lions without giving up the 5th overall pick in order to make 2 picks in the top 5. Instead, the Dolphins believe that a potential Godfather offer to the Bengals for the 1st overall pick would be even harder to refuse if the Dolphins offer both number 3 and number 5 as part of the package. Per league source, that's the primary purpose of Miami's efforts to finagle number 3 from Detroit. If the Dolphins pull it off, the Bengals would then have to ask themselves whether they'd rather have quarterback Joe Burrow or, example, the best tackle on the board at number 3, either quarterback Justin Herbert or quarterback Tua plus whatever else Miami would be offering. Of course, it won't matter if the Dolphins can't squeeze number 3 from the Lions without giving up number 5, but if the Dolphins somehow end up with a pair of top 5 picks, don't be surprised if the next move entails an effort to get the top of the mountain via a huge pile of draft picks. You know what? I still don't buy that story either.
No, but I got one for you, Owen. I'm sure you've talked about this. I know you know the Dolphins better than anybody I know. Would you give up your 26, 18, and 5 to move up to 1? Would you give up all 3 of those to get to 1 just to get Burrow?
No, I would not. Not.
I'm just that's been out there, and I'm just curious if that's something you think.
Dude, he still has the 1-year wonder on him.
Sure.
I played this game with a couple of my guests this week already. Let's have some fun. All right, here we go.
Yeah, love it.
Let's get Jordan Love, and let's put him on LSU. And let's get Joe Burrow and put him at Utah State, where he played with a bunch of his players and coaches in 18, but then in 19, everybody left, and he struggled. If I put Jordan Love on a team where he struggled at Ohio State, struggled when he got to LSU. Then Brady comes in, straightens out the offense, and he takes off. Mind you, LSU, I targeted this. Here's a fun stat for you to track in the draft. Who will have more draft picks, the Dolphins or LSU? Okay? So the LSU have about 14, 15 players drafted. So Joe Burrow played with one hell of a team. What happens if we put Jordan Love in that situation where he plays with LSU? Because we saw Jordan Love play at an elite level when he had his coaches and his players in 18. And then in 19, you take away his coaches and his players, and the season went to crap. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow was not impressive at Ohio State, was not impressive when he got to LSU. He was impressive this past year when Brady was hired as a coach overall. So if I switch the guys, what's the story going into the draft right now?
Yeah, I don't knock Burrow as much as you do. I thought he was okay in 18. I don't think he was great. I mean, he had a historically great year in 19.
Yes.
But I'm not crushing him for 18. You're right, talent around him. There's no question. But at the same point, the NFL is, you expect all those players to play at that same level too, right? There's no, LSU's not beating any NFL team. And so I think that when you go in with the success that you're going to have, I think that you could do that to a lot of situations, right? I mean, but you could also put, you could put Daniel Jones on the Chiefs. Do they win the Super Bowl? You could put Tim Crouch as a bust in Cleveland if he gets drafted by a really good Dallas Cowboy team. Is Tim Crouch a Hall of Famer? I mean, there's always those ifs and buts, and you can play those games and put guys wherever you want to. And I know what your point you're trying to do or trying to make, but I love Jordan Love, but I think that Burrow is a top echelon. I think it's more than just a 1 year. I think he's got a pedigree. I think it's something that his dad was a coach. He's been born into. He's been around football. I think he was just finally given the reign and given the confidence to say, okay, go be the guy. And he proved it. And he did it against some great teams. I mean, he did it against the Alabama team. He did it against Clemson. I mean, he did it against the best of the best in the best conference and had a historic year. I mean, it wasn't just, throwing balls up. I mean, he picked up some great first downs with his feet. He was tough. He got hit and stepped back into the game. So I think it would be hard for me not to, because I think that the Dolphins have done a lot of great things. What the Dolphins haven't had since Dan is they haven't had a franchise quarterback. And I don't know. I'm not saying Tua's not that guy. I'm not saying Love's not that guy. But I really believe in my heart of hearts Joe Burrow is that guy. So that's the difference probably from you and me.
No, I mean, I love what I've seen from Joe Burrow. I'm just saying because it's 1 year, I can't give you 3 first-round picks for him. I just can't do that.
Sure.
Or what Peter King wanted, 4 first-round picks. I just can't do that. No. You know what I mean? And plus, I actually have faith in Chris Greer and McKenzie and Allen. I think these guys are going to prove to be one heck of a front office. And when you're a good front office and you know what the hell you're doing and you have multiple picks, you have an opportunity to really load your team up. You know what I'm saying? And what I don't want is you trade all these picks to get Joe Burrow, and now you don't have enough to surround him and take care of him. And I don't want what happened to Andrew Luck in Indianapolis to happen to Tua or Burrow or Love or whoever else the next young quarterback is. Whoever it is, man, take care of the kid. Block for him. Right. Give him weapons. Give him an opportunity to succeed. You know what I'm saying? Because look how great Luck is. And yet he walked away from this game, and we all lost as fans. Because I'm not a Colts fan. I don't care about the Colts. But it does bother me that one of the great young quarterbacks in this league walked out the door because he was tired of taking a beating. And with all the money these guys are making, that stuff is going to happen more often nowadays because of the cash. Guys can actually walk away and say, I've got enough in the bank, dude. I don't need to take this pounding and this beating. And so that's the only thing I would do. That's why I would be scared that if you trade the house for Joe Burrow, now you bring him on, and now he's running for his life like Fitzpatrick was last year. That's crazy.
Sure.
Sure.
Yep. No, they do need some offensive help, so no question about it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Hey, Bridge, as always, you are a stud. Hey, tell them about the Brawl Network, man, so folks can check you out.
Well, you're one of our best guests we've had on there, Big O. Yeah, so we, Will Witherspoon and myself, a guy named Mike Brez, we do the Brawl podcast. You can find it on iTunes or on Spotify. Just put in the Brawl, and it'll pop up for you. But also then we got the website, The Brawl Network, or you can just type in brawlnetwork.com. We are actually doing, through Periscope on Twitter tonight, we are going to be doing the draft live. We're going to have some former NFL players on, kind of going through picks with us, some guests jumping in from each region of the country when their teams are picking, and then we got some prizes given away tonight, so you can check us out. You can find that at Network Brawl, at Network Brawl on Twitter, or just find me at Bridges Football on Twitter, and we'll have all that streaming live tonight. Have a lot of fun, get some fan interaction, and talking some smack, and this is a great day for all of us. I'm excited. I can't wait. I love doing it, and it's going to be fun to see how these teams improve. And I'm really excited for the Dolphins. Haven't been a former player there, but just with the 3 picks and knowing Chris and knowing Reggie McKenzie and those guys, I think there's a chance this draft could be a franchise changing draft. It has to be. And with Tom Brady out of the AFC East, it's wide open, and this could be a chance for them to take the reins for quite a few years if they do it right.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it down here. Follow them on Twitter at Bridges Football, and check out the Brawl Network. Mark, as always, you are a stud and a friend. Thank you for taking some time. Enjoy the draft tonight, man.
God bless, Big O. Have a great draft, man. Have some fun.
You got it, baby. You be good. There you go, man. Mark Lillibridge. Good stuff there. We are out here at Toyota of Hollywood, 1841 North State Road 7. Come on out. They will take care of you. I see Herbie over there working hard. We got all the great people out here. John Rouse is in the house. And, of course, we're out here at 1841 North State Road 7. Let's take a break. If you do come on out here, go see Herbie, go see Gary Thompson, Rick, all the great people. Steve Ostrov is out here running the show.
Come and say hi to John.
That's right, at Toyota of Hollywood.
Will reimburse payments up to a total of $1,800 based on purchase and MSRP on approved credit. On select models excludes tax, tag title, and includes $8.99 dealer fee. Offer ends 5/4/20.
Toyota of Hollywood is open, and we're here to serve you. The safety of our customers and associates is our top priority. Toyota of Hollywood is following strict guidelines, including social distancing and keeping our facilities clean and sanitized. Buy with 0 down, 0% APR financing, and we'll make your payments till 2021. Pay up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 2019 pre-owned Camry LE, not $27,000, $16,775. 2020 pre-owned Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Shop and save at our 400,000 square foot dealership at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2019 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Welcome back. Thank you to all out there on the chat board, keeping it down, keeping it locked. We love you for it as always. We appreciate it. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can send it in also at 786-322-1105, which, by the way, the accidentlawfirm.com text line is absolutely freaking smoking here. Let me get to some of these. Word is the Finn Scouts are in love with Huntley, the QB, in the 4th round, and Will Greer listen. Yeah, of course, because you know all the information when everybody else is guessing about the Dolphins every different day. I'm telling you, it's more what I've said. The Dolphins are a completely different franchise, a completely different front office. You know what I love? Every day on social media, I get the guys that are like, well, you know, the Dolphins will screw it up. You know, the Dolphins will screw it up. I don't understand that. How do you not feel better about what you've seen for the last damn year? I don't know. How do you not feel better about what's going on? You thought it was going to be the worst year. You thought you weren't going to win a game. You thought this team was going to be terrible. Then the coaching staff and that head coach found a way to win 5 games, which, by the way, I get it. You're only thinking draft position, but it was super impressive. So that means maybe you found your coach, which, by the way, you haven't had one since, let's say, Jimmy Johnson. Okay? So you haven't had a coach since Jimmy Johnson. We know you haven't had a quarterback since Marino. So the first decision that the general manager made may have been a great one in the coach. Then you see how he set you up for the damn draft. I haven't met a lot of Dolphin fans that hated free agency. I think most Dolphin fans like, wow, dude, like that was a good trip through free agency. Like it was really smart. They took care of the pass rushers on defense, so they must be going offense. And okay, there's a plan. I can see it. Because you know we could never figure out what the Dolphins are doing. But every day I run into and it's because it's 20 years that you're jaded. And I get it. You know what? It's easier to just give up and just say, well, it's not going to happen, and then you get pleasantly surprised. It's hard to go out on that limb because you have had so much pain in the past. And I get it, but you got to let it go, man. You got to let it go. It's changing, and it's changing for the better. I think you got to have a little more faith over the last year of what's going on instead of being so freaking. Why are you going to bring yourself to? Let's wait, okay? If something fails, then we can get depressed about it. But everything that's happened has gotten you more excited. Everything. The way they set up the offseason to get to this point. The success they had in the regular season as you saw a team get better all the way through. I don't care what kind of talent you have. From week 1 to week 17, you can't say that about Dolphin seasons. Usually, you didn't know what the hell you were getting. They were going up and down, up and down, up and down, and usually a down at the end. These guys just went like this. Every week. Every week they got better. Every week they looked more competent. You knew they were limited on talent, so they had a ceiling. That ceiling was pretty low, okay? Even for Michael Jordan, who says the ceiling is the roof. You know what I'm saying? It was low. I get it. But still, you saw competence. I don't understand the negativity. I don't at all. Now, if you're a Jets fan, that you're acting like a Dolphin and you're just on the chat board, okay, I get that. You just want to be the saboteur.
We have a saboteur?
Yes, a saboteur. So I get that, but it's just, I don't understand the negativity when I'm watching what's happened the last year, and it just, most everything makes such football sense. Get on board, baby. Get on board.
You know I feel bad for,
What's that?
The way you said we haven't had a quarterback since Marino.
Right.
Jay Fiedler for 2 years, there was only one quarterback that had more wins, and that was Elway with 23.
Oh, I know.
Fiedler won, like everybody forgets about Fiedler in those 2 years he had.
Yeah. Well, we had a hell of a defense, too, back in those days.
Of course.
That defense
I'm not
awesome.
saying it was, but the guy was only second to Elway.
And here I get this one. I think the Dolphins gave too much misdirection. Are we just going to complain to complain? How is it too much misdirection when nobody knows what direction they're going in? Please explain that one to me. Nobody knows what's going to happen. How is it too much misdirection? There's so much misdirection, we have no idea. Fins trading down with Raiders for a boat of 2021 picks. All right. Big O watched the 2014 draft last night. Only 4 of the top 10 are still on the same team. Let's not think this. Just keep bringing in talent. That's right, baby. I'm with you. I just heard Invincible by Pat Benatar. All I'm thinking about is the draft now with this song, Fins Up, Dolphins, Jeff from Long Island. I love that song. Invincible from Pat Benatar. It's a great song, man. Great song. Agree with you 100% about your comments about Smokescreen. It's going to be Tua, and I love it. Let's see. Enjoy the draft today, Big O. Bless, James. Thank you, James. Appreciate you, man. Happy Tua Day. The savior for the Dolphins will finally be selected tonight.
Negative. Dude, I'm going to feel like I got punched in the gut, man, if I hear Tua tonight. I just.
Are you going to be live on YouTube for the draft? Yes, we are going to be live starting at 7:30. We will be live doing the draft. Hey, Big O, this is Roger. If they select a tackle at 3 or 5, who do you like from them to target at QB? Well, at 5, I don't like any QB, okay? I would rather have Tristan Wirfs as the guy I want at tackle. If not later on, then I don't mind a Jordan Love. I don't mind an Anthony Gordon. I don't mind a James Morgan. I don't mind the Davidson kid. I don't mind Luton. There's a couple of Nate Stanley. There's a couple project guys that I would take in this draft that I like. So any of those quarterbacks later on, if they don't get one early. Hey, do you see any fit for Penn State defensive end Uter Gross Matos for the Fins? Yes, I do at end, and it would be with the 18th pick because I don't know if he'll be there for 26. It'll be close because he's going to go in that area. So, yeah, he could. Big O, I forgot to ask you early. Any chance you're trying to get Benjamin Albright on your show? Well, we've had Benjamin on a lot. What I'll do is I'll aim for next week to get his thoughts on the draft on Monday is probably what I'm going to do with Benjamin. Try to get him on. Jess in Minneapolis says, hell, they gave Cutler $10 million. Pay the man his money. Is the reason Papinga's on so you can say the name? Yes, that's why he was on. So we can say the name over and over again. Brady Papinga. Not the time for the subject now, but why is it taking so damn long for them to put 54 in the Hall of Fame? Bro, that's the Hall of Fame. I have no idea. I would rather have Cam Newton over Winston. Plenty of you have said that. Not the first to hear. How many Canes go in the draft? Oh God, not a lot. Couple only. Trayvon will get drafted. Pickney will get drafted. Shaq will get drafted, but it'll be late because he's a 2-down linebacker. And I know he's coming off that hip, so that's an issue for him too. It's only going to be a couple of guys, man, and they're all mid to late round picks. No early stuff. That's Manny Diaz's job now, to get them back to the point where they've got some serious juice coming back. All right, again, I can't go through all of these because it is just amazing how much you guys are coming through here. But let's see here. Big O Media saying Miami working on a Godfather offer to the Bungles. Maybe they are. Bungles aren't going to go for it. They're going to stay with their quarterback. Big Cat says, last January they told us the plan, and haven't deviated since, and the coach seemed to squeeze every bit of talent he could from last year's team. As of today, no reason not to have a little faith. I agree. They said it was a rebuild. That's all they said. And didn't say that they were tanking for Tua, but I'm with you there. Lester Colebrook says, potato chip hip looks like the pick. Terry S. says, Simmons and trade up with Carolina for Love. Christopher Hill says, be funny if Tua is more durable because of Kevlar inside him to repair the injuries. Well, that Kevlar was used for the ankles, not for the hip. So it's still an issue there. Hey, you got your mic on, bro. Turn off your mic. Jesus. Dan Bruz says, I just hope they don't trade away the ransom of picks to go up a few spots. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll do that. T-Bone says, Greer working the phones hard. Ross demanding Greer get Burrow or Tua. I don't think Ross does that, bro. I think Ross will make a suggestion, but he lets his people, make their decisions overall. And I think he'll do that with Greer. You can't put the man in place and then, undercut him, because then you can't judge him. Because if you're making the picks for him, then you can't blame him if there's failure there. Oh, in case you decide to invite all of us over to your house for the draft party, I will get the list started. I will bring my pastelitos, my tia's pastelitos de guayaba y queso. All right. Doug, I wish I could invite all of you. I wish we could all go to a bar. I wish we were all in Vegas, really. I mean, that's where we're supposed to be right now. We're supposed to be in Vegas at this point.
Couple days removed from seeing back-to-back shows of Pearl Jam.
Yeah. No, and I would have...
hanging out in San Francisco for a few days.
Yeah. I'm getting excited. Tomorrow would have been day 2 of the draft and April wine.
And, you know what? And a couple weeks away from being in Daytona Beach to see Friday and Sunday Metallica.
Yeah. 3 days of Rockville. I know, we could have actually had Metallica on the show. Can you imagine if Hetfield would have... because they would have come to the media tent.
Screw you, COVID-19.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, Vernon Porter says, dumb statement, Mike, no disrespect. Okay, I don't know what, I guess that's a discussion. Big O, every time I listen to regular radio broadcast, I get bored, but your non-syndicated show is like the Dolphins these days. Interesting. Well, you got to understand this too, okay? Not that I don't want to brag about myself or anything like that. I don't think there's a lot of people left on local radio that have the passion for football like I do, the vision for the Dolphins at times, good or bad, okay? 'Cause I've done lots of bad in the last 20 years because it's been a lot of bad football. But, and I don't think that they can come up with the conversations that we come up with. Because in the end, they don't have the desire to really do hardcore sports talk. It's more about goofing off. It's more about doing stupid things and silly things and things like that because that's what people like in general. That's kind of what it is. You don't really want to watch a program of substance. You want to watch a train wreck like Tiger King. It's just the way it is. That's why the Kardashians are watched by many. Because you just want to watch train wrecks or you just want to watch goofing off and all that. What we do here is, we joke around. We have some fun. We smile. I joke around too, but I'm not going to be doing it the entire show and then giving you in an hour 10 minutes of sports talk because that's what they do. It's 10 minutes of sports talk and then, hey, let's do an update. And the update's almost the entire segment where you're just going over the headlines.
Now you're giving me a complex. I'm about to tell us we got to break because we got to get Rick Neuheisel on.
Yes.
You're talking about us not breaking.
No, but I'm just saying, it's a different kind of radio that you get on terrestrial now. That's all. Because there aren't a lot of people left that actually talk sports because it's not the most popular thing to do either. You understand? I could probably gain even more audience if I just screwed off and did all kinds of goofy stuff and all that. It's probably the direction that a lot of people want to go in. But since I know there's really almost nobody doing any hardcore sports talk anymore, I know we will have our people and our audience here always to listen. And because there'll be people like you that are as passionate as I am, and that you're tired of the screwing off, and you're tired of the 25 minutes of commercials in an hour, and you're tired of all the updates. You have your phone, bro. You don't need an update. You don't need a weather report. You have your phone. It says the weather on your phone every time you grab it. You know what I mean? So they waste all that time and then get it all sponsored, and then, so that's all you're hearing. You know what I mean? And so that's where we come in. And by the way, I got to tell you something. I love Intercom now because all they've done is destroy local radio. So they open it up for us. And more people find out about our show, and they're like, okay, well, then I don't really need to listen to those shows because they're not going to give me what I want. And if you're a hardcore sports fan, really, where do you go? There's really not a lot of places because you're not going to find a lot of people like me that actually care and want to talk about it all the time. Rick Neuheisel, college football coach, ESPNU analyst. We're going to talk some quarterbacks with him. We can break down all the QBs with Rick. We do that with the coach next.
Will reimburse payments up to a total of $1,800 based on purchase and MSRP on approved credit. On select models excludes tax, tag, title, and includes $8.99 dealer fee. Offer ends 5/4/20.
Toyota of Hollywood is open, and we're here to serve you. The safety of our customers and associates is our top priority. Toyota of Hollywood is following strict guidelines, including social distancing and keeping our facilities clean and sanitized. Buy with zero down, 0% APR financing, and we'll make your payments till 2021. Pay up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 2019 pre-owned Camry LE, not $27,000, $16,775. 2020 pre-owned Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Shop and save at our 400,000 square foot dealership at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2019 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Welcome back. It's hard for me to text and talk at the same time. All righty,
How about
welcome
chewing
back.
gum? Can we throw some chewing
No,
gum in there,
that's
man?
that's impossible. Are you kidding me? Chewing gum? I could never do that. Walk, chew gum at the same time. That would be really, really, really tough for me. Anyway, welcome back. We take you till 2, I'm sorry. About 2:30, actually. John Murphy will join us at 2 o'clock. So we'll get the personnel director for the Toronto Argonauts on. So we'll have a little fun with him. We'll get in contact now, hopefully, with Rick Neuheisel. Doug Farrar will join us at the bottom of the hour to talk a little draft. He is the NFL editor for USA Today. He has been covering the league for a long, long time, and a guy that I've known for a long, long time. Really, really good insight. So we'll have a little fun with Doug at 1:30. Hopefully we'll get Rick Neuheisel in here. The other thing that I don't know if you guys saw this, but Pro Football Talk took out their mock, okay? And again, this is what I love about what I told you in the beginning of the show, keeping everybody guessing in this process, right? So in the PFT mock, they've got Tua going to the Dolphins, okay, right? But they've got him at number 18. So they've got Tua dropping all the way to 18 to the Dolphins. Not at 5. They've actually got Wirfs at number 5 to the Dolphins. They've got Tua at number 18. And then they end up with Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU, at 26. Okay? So again, keeping everybody guessing pretty much on what's going on because most of us just don't know what's going on in this process. That's the one thing that you can tell. It's everybody is trying to figure it out, and I love it. Nobody really has a good feel for it, and it'll happen like, and in a way, it's kind of what I do every year in the draft. Because a lot of people tell me, well, what do you like in the second round? I go, well, let's wait till the first round's over, and I'll tell you who's gone. And now when we know who's gone, now we'll see who's available in the second round, and then I'll give you a list of players. And I kind of do that every day in the draft and every round. For those of you that have followed, you know what I'm talking about. And that's what, like tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll talk about. By the way, tomorrow I'm on twice. I'm on Mad Dog on Channel 82 from 8 to 11 in the morning. And then we're on later on in the evening for the draft at night.
You mean Saturday?
Oh, I'm sorry, Saturday.
Tomorrow,
That's right. Tomorrow's Friday.
Give us a chance to get to
Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm
we got
sorry.
another field trip, man. We got to go to Craig's Inn, brother.
That's right. Saturday we're on twice. Tomorrow, that's right. Tomorrow it's Craig's Inn, and then the draft in the evening. But
you already got us in the third day of the draft. We haven't even got through one, man.
Yeah,
Come on, brother.
Exactly. So tomorrow we'll go over what we did in the first round, and then we'll preview what's coming in the second and third rounds, and then we'll talk about the players that that are available now, and then we'll try to give you the targets, and then we'll also see what they filled in the first round. Dude, turn off your mic, please. And so you will see what happens, in the first round, and then we know what spots were filled. So then we have a better feel for what's going to go on in the second and the third rounds, and then we can move on to the other rounds on Saturday. Again, we'll get a feel for what we have to do. And a Saturday will be a long one because we'll be on from 8 to 11 on Mad Dog We'll get an hour, well, not even an hour's rest, maybe about 40 minutes, and then we'll come on a few minutes before noon, and we'll start doing the draft.
How long do you think that's going to go on Saturday? Till like 5, 6 o'clock, you're thinking?
Easy 6 o'clock. Easy 6 o'clock. It's 4 rounds.
So we're going to do intermittent. We'll be in, we'll be out.
Yeah, because what we'll do is when we see that there's a long gap in between Dolphin picks, then we'll take a rest. You know what I mean? So we'll shut it down.
That ain't going to happen in the 7th round because we got 3 picks.
Right.
There.
Yeah. And
then our street free agents.
And they go fat. Well, yeah, but we're not on for street free agency, bro. Okay. Well, we'll recap that stuff on
Monday.
Okay. So Sunday, I need to shut the hell up and just not say a damn thing. Okay? I mean, Sunday, I'm not doing anything, bro. I am just
use Maiden's.
I'm gargling melted halls.
Does Maiden have a muzzle?
All day Sunday, I'm gargling melted halls. That's all I'm doing.
Does Maiden have a muzzle? You can muzzle yourself, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Probably do that. That'll help out. And by the way, we're out here at Toyota of Hollywood, 1841 North State Road 7. Don't forget to go visit my friends at VSS West Pines. Just west of here, man, 12397 Pembroke Road. Go see Jose and all the great people out there. Go to the website, vsswestpines.com, 954-613-3367. You can order by phone. Go online. You can check out all the products. If you're looking to purchase any kind of CBD products, they've got them for you. Anything else, call them, 954-613-3367. They've got CBD products for you and your pets. So in these stressful times that you're stuck at home, it's a good time to get a little rest in. And we'll see if give my man Rick another call, man. See if we can get in contact with him here. I don't know what the heck is going on.
I'm on it.
All right, and see if we can get Rick on and get him on to talk, because we're at a point where we're running into Doug Farrar time at 1:30, and now we're gonna have to shorten this interview, which I am not happy about. Let's see, tanking Tua and the 3rd pick are the smokescreen. Let's see, King Short says Merino jersey tonight, Zubas. Oh, you're wearing Zubas and a Merino jersey. You like it. You're really going back to the day. Miami Kid says, Big O, thank you for keeping raw and uncut the ODB. Tua, baby. You got it, man. Vernon Porter says, tomorrow, who was right and wrong on their fake mock drafts? You know, Vernon, we can't be hard on anybody that does a mock draft, okay? I don't do mock drafts. You know, maybe next year we'll do one for fun out there, but I normally don't do mocks because it's impossible. It's hard to think like 32 different people and coaching staffs and how things change along the way and everything. It's tough, man. Christopher Hill says, mocks are such a waste of time. At least it gives us something to laugh about. Right? That's pretty much it. And let me tell you, most of the guys that do mocks, they're forced to do mocks by their editors or their producers. If they're doing it on TV, they really don't want to do mocks because it's like hitting the lotto, man. There's a guy in Dallas. I'm forgetting his name now. This gentleman is a legend in our business. He's been doing the draft mocks for 40 years. Like 25 or 30 years ago, he hit like on, I don't know, it was like 24 of the 26 picks or something, whenever they had 24, 26 teams. Like he missed on only a couple. Like he did it one time. Rick something, I forgot his name now. I'm but that was 1 year. Outside of that, you'd be lucky to get 5 or 6 right in a 32 draft slot.
If you're going to hit something like that, man, make it 6 digits for the lottery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, this guy hit on most of the draft 1 year. I forgot his name now. I mean, I don't know him. I've run into him many times and so I know who he is because I see him every year at the Combine. And it is really amazing. Joe Miller says you're not going to see that much progress of a DT that quick, but with some help we'll see. I don't know what that means, Joe. That must have been another conversation that you guys are having in the process there. Big O, do you think signing Winston to a one-year deal, taking the best O-line available at 5, top receiver at 18, a position player at 26, and use the rest of the picks for depth? What do you think? My problem with all of that, Showtime, is that you can't predict what you're going to take down the line because you don't know what's available. So it's not that easy to say, well, we'll take a linebacker here and a quarterback there and a wide receiver. That you got to be in the moment.
Big O, I have Rick Neuheisel for you, sir.
Love it. Love it. I love talking with Rick. It's always great to talk a little football with the coach. And, of course, you can catch his work at SiriusXM ESPNU. Coach Neuheisel, how are you doing, my man?
I am fantastic. Happy draft day.
Oh, yes.
To all those Dolphin fans there in Miami, I know they got to be giddy about tonight.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're going crazy. And you know what, Rick? I'm proud of the franchise already because it's Tua. No, it's not Tua. It's Herbert. No, it's offensive tackle. They have done what they normally didn't do in the past, Rick. They have flooded the place with misinformation, and people can't really figure out where they're going, which to me, that is very successful if you're the front office when you've got everybody guessing.
They have created the ultimate smokescreen. There is no question about it. So kudos to Chris Greer and to his band of brothers there in that front office. Whether they did it via Zoom or what have you, they figured out how to make the world put a giant question mark over their plan tonight.
Yeah, and one of the things that I commend Chris Greer on is he brought in a guy like Flores who has a scouting background too. He brought in a Reggie McKenzie who's been a general manager in this league and a successful one, by the way, because he's the guy that found Khalil Mack and he's the guy that got Derek Carr for the Raiders. So he knows what the hell. When he took over the Raiders, they didn't have a first and second round picks because of the Carson Palmer trade. So that's how many things he had to overcome early on with that team. And then Marvin Allen's a guy that's really established in this league and has helped out teams like the Falcons and the Chiefs. So he surrounded himself with really good personnel people, and he's not this ego-driven dude that it's all about my opinion and it's got to be. I think Chris has opened himself up for success because successful people surround themselves with good people.
I absolutely. Listen, there's no question that this is a collaborative effort there and that he's listened carefully to all the different opinions. But you and I both also know that the buck stops with Chris Greer.
Yep.
He and Stephen Ross have to go to sit there, and he's got to go to the owner and say, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it. And there are no guarantees in life, but I feel very, very strongly that this is the right course of action, and here's how we'll go about it. And given that I still have a hard time believing that they can pass on an effort to get Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah. I just think the upside for Tua is such that it's worth the risk. Certainly there are risks involved, especially when a guy's been nicked up as often as he's been. But the bottom line is this guy is a special, transcendent player, and he's got that star appeal. And at the end of the day, pro football is an entertainment business, and he will entertain.
So I'm going to run this by you on the smoke screen. So at first, the Tua thing started, and at the combine, well, he had their meeting, but they kind of gave him a cold shoulder coming out of his camp. The Dolphins weren't that embracing it. Stephen Ross is asked about Tua. He goes, yeah, he's a nice player, but he's got a lot of injury history. Now, I don't make the decisions, but I do know he has injury history. So they kind of talked it down. And then we hear that they love Herbert. People are saying that they love Herbert. And then we hear now that, no, they're trying to move up from 5 to 3 to get a tackle, get the best tackle in the draft. And then I hear 2 days ago, Albert Breer report that he hears Marino, likes Herbert a lot and sees a lot of himself in Herbert. And then that's when I completely lost it. Because I go, because come on, dude. I mean, the Pittsburgh East Coast guy does not look and act anything like the kid out in the West Coast. he acts like the kid at LSU that grabs a cigar after a championship game and chills out. I can see Marino and Joe Burrow having a drink and shooting the S, as they say. I don't see Herbert. So to me, all this stuff about moving 5-3 is to make sure the Chargers don't jump to 3 and take Tua from them. That's what this entire smokescreen has been about.
The ultimate victory would be able to take whomever you want in at 5 and keep those other 2 first-round choices. That would be the ultimate victory for Chris Greer, and certainly one of the reasons that they're throwing out all this information. At the end of the day, Detroit is going to peddle that 3rd pick. And do you have the chutzpah to roll the dice and let somebody go ahead of you and take the guy that you most covet? And regardless of we determine who that is, whether it's Herbert, Tagovailoa, or a tackle, do you have the risk tolerance to allow somebody to go ahead of you, especially given the draft capital that the Dolphins possess? And to me, that would be foolish. You have what you set out to have, which is 14 picks, 3 in the first round. Go get the guy you want at 3. Go get him. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Don't do anything other than get the guy you want and then celebrate in the office when we got the guy we want. And then hope like heck it turns out to be the most brilliant decision ever. But at least you've turned over every shell to look and see what is the right way to go, and you're going to feel good about it. But don't let somebody take your guy. That, to me, is the ultimate strategy for Chris Greer and the Dolphins.
Coach Rick Neuheisel joining us here on the program. Remember, you can catch him on Sirius XM ESPNU and catch his work there all the time, breaking it down. And, Coach, when we talk about Herbert and when I call scouts and personnel directors around the league and we talk about quarterbacks, I always get I love the Herbert kid. He's a fantastic young man. He's a perfectly built QB. It's exactly what you would design. But I don't get the same kind of adjectives that I get from Tua. That outside of the injury history, this guy's a deadly accurate passer. This guy's a leader. This guy's a winner. People gravitate to him. I don't get those kind of adjectives about Herbert. And it's almost like you're basing it all on potential with him, whereas with Tua, when I talk to NFL people outside of the injuries, of course, which is a major hurdle, they are so comfortable with the football player and the accomplishments. So what's the difference between the two when you see both guys for the next level?
Well, the personalities are different. Doesn't mean that one's better than the other. It just means that Justin Herbert's more of a laid-back guy. He's not demanding attention. He's a guy that is very bright, was a 4-point student at Oregon, chose to stay and go one more year at college because it was close to home. His brother was going to be on the team. He wanted to have that kind of family experience, thought he could have a team that would win a championship. It turned out to be that was the case. They go to the Rose Bowl. There's nothing not to like about Justin Herbert. And in terms of the Battlestar Galactica body, he has it, right? He has the NFL suit, so to speak. It's like the old Brady Bunch episode, right? Why did you want me to be Johnny Bravo? When Greg Brady asked the agent, he says, because you fit the suit. You fit it, right? And that's Herbert in the NFL model. Tua is everybody says, well, he had all these great receivers, but it's Mick Jagger. He's Mick Jagger. You can't take your eyes off him. Yeah, there's the Rolling Stones, but it's Mick Jagger who's the showman. He makes it go, and Tua's been doing that since he walked onto the stage at halftime in Mercedes-Benz Stadium to win a national championship. His first throw of that second half was an interception to a receiver that was blocking down the field. He goes over after that play and puts his arm around Nick Saban, who is like the most angry man in the planet at that time, and says, don't worry, boss, we'll be fine. Saban's head could have blown off right there. He wasn't worried about that. He just has this demeanor that he's going to make it all better. And he did. He went out there, and you pick apart that second half of that game against Georgia, there are probably 2 balls that he wasn't even throwing it to the guy who caught it. But the magic exists, and the guys in the huddle feel the magic, and it went all the way through his time in Tuscaloosa. Were there injuries? Yes. Were there things about his escapability? Maybe not as much as he believes he has. He needs to play from the pocket. That's absolute. But does he have this persona and this magic about him? I think he does, and I think it's hard to pass up.
You know, the way you were describing Herbert kind of reminded me of Jay Cutler. Laid back, really smart, but not necessarily as a leader.
Jay Cutler's body language, to me, was a little bit more negative.
Right. Okay.
When you watch Jay Cutler play, it's like you felt like he was pouting. It may not have been even close to true, but his body language would tell you that. So we saw that from Aaron Rodgers during some of the down years for the Packers, right? The body language looks like he's not having fun, like he's blaming everybody else. I don't see that with Herbert. Okay. I see Herbert as a consummate team guy, but he may not be the rah-rah guy that's going to command the attention of everybody in the locker room.
All right, let's talk about the other enigma in the draft, because Herbert, in a way, is a little bit of an enigma. The other guy is Jordan Love. You watch the 18 tape, and it's jaw-dropping, and then you watch the 19 tape, and it's barf-filled. And you're asking for every barf bag that's in the room at the moment, because you're like, oh, wait a minute, how can a kid this talented make this many mistakes? So which one's real, which one's Memorex?
Well, you've got a coaching staff change between 18 and 19, so you can give him a little bit of a pass for maybe a dip in performance, but the 17 interceptions still are going to haunt you if you're a GM. Jameis Winston is looking for work right now because of 30 interceptions. The inability to continue to learn from mistakes, not make the same mistake twice. He's just got this bravado that tells him, I can make that play. And over he tries to. And some of it is sensational. Some of it is, off the charts, eye-popping. How did he do that? And then some of it is stop that, because that's an interception and it's going the other way. And obviously the Buccaneers chose to go in another direction. So Jordan Love, to me, you've got to know that you can coach those interceptions out of him. Somebody will be so enamored with the body and the whippy arm that has the ability to play catch in any trajectory and take a run on him. But I think it'll be more of an experienced, a team with an experienced quarterback, I should say, and then try to develop him. And they're going to have to have created a relationship where the guy has convinced the organization that he's coachable. That little red flag about getting arrested for marijuana right before the bowl game. Listen, may not be a big deal. The collective bargaining agreement says THC is not as big a deal, right, going forward. But from a maturity standpoint and the decision-making standpoint, you're going, what are you doing, 3-4 days before a bowl game? Why is this becoming an issue? Those are the kind of things that people are going to ask. I think he goes in the first round. I think it's a team probably trading up somewhere between 15 and 20 and getting him and trying to say, okay, for a year we're gonna teach you how to play this game.
Yeah, or Miami could use him at 18, right? That might be right in the area.
If Miami doesn't go quarterback in that first pick, I think that's exactly what Miami will be looking to do.
Coach Rick Neuheisel joining us here on the program as we get ready for draft day tonight. And it starts off, we'll be broadcasting at 7:30, so we'll have a little fun tracking the Dolphins draft. All right, so Coach, let's have a little fun now. There's always that guy or maybe a couple this year that will drop to later on in the draft, late second day, third day draft. Who's that project quarterback that you love, that somebody should take a chance on because he's got NFL skill set? You just got to, polish it up a little bit and make it a diamond.
I think Jake Fromm is in that category. The luster is off Jake Fromm, given the way he performed in years 1 and 2. This last year, he had a 5-game skid where he was less than 50% in each of those games. But if you stop and look at, who he was throwing to in the wide receiver position there at Georgia, it was decimated, whether it was with graduation, decimated with injury, decimated with guys who got let go from the football team for disciplinary reasons. He just didn't have the same band of brothers, if you will, around him. He just didn't. And so his stock has fallen. He's not a superstar athlete. He doesn't run fast, but does he have the acumen to play the position? Does he show the ability to make the throws that are necessary? I think he's a wise investment in whether it be late second, early third. I think Jake Fromm will make your team better.
All right. If there's a tackle at number 5, give me the number 1, number 2 positions for you that you absolutely love in this draft, because if they're not going to go quarterback, something tells me it's going to be tackle. It won't be Simmons or even Brown at defensive tackle. I think they're going to go offensive tackle. Give me your 1 and number 2 guys, because you figure at 5, if they stay there, they'll either get the number 1 or second best tackle in the draft. How are you looking at this draft of tackles?
It's more difficult in my mind to come up with the second one. Jedrick Wills, the kid from Alabama, to me is the number 1 tackle.
Okay.
If you ask, I heard this from a GM recently, if you ask any of those Alabama guys who are all, coming off early, the wide receivers, any of the Alabama players, which teammate would you like to have with you? They all say Wills. They all want Jedrick Wills to be on the team because of his tenacity, his work ethic, his, do it for the team type of attitude. He was a sensational player at Alabama for a long time. He tested well, but from a guy standpoint, I think he's the pick. Mekhi Becton is, a superstar, human, physical creature. You get nervous when you now read about a red flag on a drug test. That becomes, what are you doing? Why are you making this kind of poor decision? What other poor decisions will you make when you have this kind of money in your pocket? So that becomes a concern. Andrew Thomas at Georgia is a pretty safe pick, very, steady Eddie type of personality. But is he as athletic when you're starting to think about the pass rushers he'll have to face as he comes to the next level? And then the Tristan Wirfs kid from Iowa is a magnificent athlete, tested off the charts in Indianapolis. And I'm told he can do a backflip. We haven't heard offensive tackles doing backflips standing from a standing position in any time in recent memory. But is he as experienced and as tenacious when you watch the film? Those are questions. I think all 4 are first-round picks, but I have to take one, I'm taking Wills.
Oh wow! So you're with me. You're a Wirfs. Oh, Wills. You said Wills, not Wirfs.
Wills. Yep.
Okay.
Wirfs is the best athlete, but I think he's a little bit of a project to get him to be the consistent player.
Right. Yeah, because he's a year younger too, right? So he's
right.
Yeah. So
right.
Yeah, that might be a positive too for some people, because you might keep him around a little longer, and plus it looks like that's the other thing that a lot of people tell me, that Wirfs is good and he hasn't even reached his peak yet. That's what a lot of people feel. You feel the same way?
There's no question he hasn't reached his peak yet. There's no question. And what will be interesting is, taking the pulse of the New York Giants if you're Chris Greer, right? Because if the Giants are going to go tackle, that's the reason you'd want to go to 3 if you think there's a marginal difference between 1 and 2. But I still am of the mind that Dolphin fans, as patient as they are and as learned as they are, they're going to be frustrated if you go to the number 3 hole for an offensive tackle.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to be frustrated if it's Tua because of the injuries or tackle because it's boring. It's just, Chris Greer can't win in this draft at number 5. I'm telling you, he's going to.
Do you honestly think that they'll be frustrated by taking Tua?
Yeah, because a lot of people.
Tua passed the Miami physical.
I know, but
Tua passed the Miami.
I know.
Go ahead.
I know. No, but Coach, I'm just telling you because a lot of people don't think he'll stay healthy. I mean, I'm worried about it too. I don't think he'll stay healthy at this level, but that'll be the reason they'll say, okay, well, we got a guy that's going to get injured. So I think that Greer's going to get negativity no matter what. Oh, come on, Coach, you do radio? You know how it is. You don't make anybody happy. You've been a head coach. You never make everybody happy as a head coach.
All I know is when Nick Saban was leading the Dolphins, they passed on a guy named Breeze for medical reasons.
Yeah.
No, and that to me is still haunting them.
No,
and I'm sitting there going, you can't pass here. Not if you passed your physical.
Remember, we did it twice. It was Jamar Fletcher and Breeze, and they drafted Fletcher instead of Breeze. And then the second go-around was the free agent go-around, and they went with Culpepper. I mean, it's a double whammy for us down here. All right, Coach, before I let you go, I know they're going to build up the lines. I know they're going to get a quarterback one way or another, but I know they're also going to want to add a dynamic runner to this team, and I'm sure it's not going to be a 5 or even 18. 26 or 39 are the two spots, possibly 50. So talk to us about 2 or 3 guys you like that might be either the late first or in the second rounds where they can get themselves a running back. I believe they'll do that. So what do you think about that position there?
I think there are probably 4 guys that I think would be fit the bill at any of those spots. I like DeAndre Swift from Georgia. He was a third down back when it was Chubb and Michelle for Kirby Smart's running tandem. He ended up becoming more of the first and second down back this year. I think they're just trying to share reps, but clearly talented enough to be an every down back and a very smart guy. Over a 3-point GPA out of Philadelphia. DeAndre Swift to me is a great, great player. I love Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin, 6,000 yards in his career. You know, people will wonder if there's tread off the tire. The guy goes to the combine and ran 4.39. I think, and he's a wonderful character kid. I think Jonathan Taylor added a little bit of pass receiving ability to his repertoire this year because Paul Chris was willing to let him do it. Certainly has the proclivity to do it. So I know fumble's a little bit of an issue there, but to me, Jonathan Taylor is a big time prospect. J.K. Dobbins is a bona fide big time player. He goes in the college football playoff game there against Clemson. Goes 6. I think he had over 100 yards in the first quarter, and then he got nicked up. One of the reasons the Buckeyes don't win that game is because J.K. Dobbins ends up leaving the game for almost the entire second quarter to go in and get his ankle taped so it looks like he's wearing a cast so that he can play in the second half. So he's got toughness. He's got that kind of stuff. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I tell you what, the little train that could, this guy is, not only a bona fide back, bona fide guy who can handle pass protection responsibilities from the backfield, but he caught 55 balls. And Joe Burrow could use him out there in empty formation, not just to run decoy routes, but actually to run, big time pass patterns down the field. He caught a corner route against the Crimson Tide right at the end of the first half. I think he's a legitimate player. Wouldn't be shocked to see somebody want him early on, if not late tonight, then early tomorrow.
Just out of curiosity, my boy Zach Moss from Utah. What's your? I know the speed, top end speed may not be there, but I love him as a football player. Your thoughts on him?
I love him. Yeah, and another durable son of a gun. I mean, obviously he got nicked up a little bit, and it cost him some time in his junior year. But Zach Moss is a big time player. I think definitely a guy that is going to make some NFL team very, very happy.
All right. You can catch, of course, Rick on SiriusXM ESPNU. When you on next, Coach?
Well, actually, I'm doing a little bit of a draft special tonight
Nice.
on the NFL side of things, Channel 88 on SiriusXM. That will go off tonight. I think we're on from 4 to 10 Pacific time, so that makes it 7 to 1 a.m. On the East Coast, and so we'll be chopping it up as we go through the first night. Mark Dominic and a host of others. Danny Cannell, I believe, is on the broadcast, so we're going to have some fun tonight.
I know both those guys. All right, that's good stuff. That's a good crew that's going to be on tonight. Coach, thank you for taking some time and giving us the insight. We always appreciate it, and you're always a gentleman giving us time on this program or on Sirius. Always appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
Big O, you take care and go Fins.
You got it, baby. Go Fins. Thank you,
See you,
Coach. You got it. There you go. The great Rick Neuheisel, man. Love him, man. He's such a good dude. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Quick break. Doug Farrar, NFL editor for USA Today. I've known Dougie for, 15, 20 years. He does an awesome job, one of the better guys in covering the draft. We will talk to Dougie Fresh, Doug Farrar, next.
We'll reimburse payments up to a total of $1,800 based on purchase and MSRP on approved credit. On select models excludes tax, tag, title, and includes $8.99 dealer fee. Offer ends 5/4/20.
Toyota of Hollywood is open, and we're here to serve you. The safety of our customers and associates is our top priority. Toyota of Hollywood is following strict guidelines, including social distancing and keeping our facilities clean and sanitized. Buy with zero down, 0% APR financing, and we'll make your payments till 2021. Pay up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 2019 pre-owned Camry LE, not $27,000, $16,775. 2020 pre-owned Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Shop and save at our 400,000 square foot dealership at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2019 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, we continue our draft coverage, baby. My man Doug Farrar is going to join us. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at NFL_Doug Farrar, NFL editor for USA Today. Doug, how you doing, baby? You doing all right? You hanging in there?
Big O, how the heck are you, man?
Jonesing, dude, I can't go to a concert. I mean, it's killing me, bro.
I know.
You know, it's like the last concert I went to see UFO in Ponte Vedra, Florida, and in Clearwater, 2 nights back to back. Had a great time, met the band and everything, and that's been my last 2 shows, dude. I have not been able to go to a show in months. And you
so
know,
is that like
you know me and
is that
music.
is that like Phil Mogg and a bunch of guys now?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, no, the drummer and him are the originals. So you got,
okay.
you got 2 originals at least. Yeah, but Vinnie Moore, dude, Vinnie Moore shreds, bro, shreds. Yep. He is so
yeah. They
awesome
had that. They had that guy Atomic Tommy McClendon in the '80s too. They've had some decent guitar players.
Yeah. There's some guy Schenker, right, or something like that.
Schenker, yeah, some German dude. Yeah, he was a.
So it's amazing. It's amazing how you can be that good and then nobody gets along with you. Michael, it's crazy.
There's a great. I'll make it quick. There's a great story about after Joe Perry left Aerosmith. Schenker was managed by Lever and Krebs, who were the same guys who managed Aerosmith. And Schenker came in. They wanted him to join the band, and he was like, "Take my jacket, and you will do everything I say." And they were like, "Yeah, no, bye." Wrong answer.
Yeah, that's it. Between Schenker and Yngwie Malmsteen, I mean, they've probably alienated everybody in the business pretty much. Those 2, and they're so phenomenal too, both guys in their own right.
Excuse me, Orlando. That's Yngwie J. Malmsteen. So he doesn't get, as Nigel Tufnell said at the Hearing Aid show, so he doesn't get confused with all the other Yngwie Malmsteen.
Right. I love that. All right, Dougie. So what are we supposed to believe down here in South Florida? Because I got to give Chris Greer credit compared to all the other Dolphin regimes in the past. They have everybody guessing because from 1 week it's Tua, the next week it's Herbert, the next week it's now offensive line. What's real? What's Memorex? What are you hearing, man?
Well, Greer's smart. Flores comes from the Belichick tree, so you're not going to get anything. And that's smart, And it's interesting because Flores he's obviously a defensive head coach. And my experience with head coaches who land on the defensive side of the ball, when they think of offense, it's generally, and I've had this experience for a decade up here in Seattle with Pete Carroll, it's generally more about the negative plays you don't make than the positive plays you do make. Defensive head coaches tend to be risk-averse when it comes to offense. So obviously everyone's talking about Herbert versus Tua. And were I Chris Greer and were I Brian Flores and were I Chan, all those guys, and Chan's obviously going to have a big say in what happens. I mean, I'm taking Tua, and I'm not, I'm thinking about the medical concerns, but, it's less what I'm hearing, and I can tell you my personal opinion. I don't have a first-round grade on Justin Herbert. I don't. He's a big guy with a big arm and a whole bunch of, he reminds me of Jared Goff in one way. When I watched Jared Goff's tape at Cal, he had a real problem with accuracy to the boundary, even on short to intermediate throws. I see the same thing with Herbert. He's a mobile enough guy, but it's like he has to come to a dead stop. He can't throw on the run consistently. I see a lot of real issues that I don't know can be worked out at the NFL level. Whereas with Tua, I mean, if you take the hip out, he's racing just behind Joe Burrow as he's not QB2, he's QB1A in my mind. So if I'm Greer and the rest of those guys, I smack it down. Nick Saban had a really interesting quote this week in the Wall Street Journal, which I'm sure you've seen.
Yes.
Where he said, I was the Dolphins coach in 2006 and we gave Breeze a red flag on the medical and whoops. And, it's like, Joe Namath came out of Alabama with all those knee concerns, and the Jets team physician said, you're going to have about a 5-year career. And Namath said, in retrospect, with all I did, that was okay. And Namath went longer, but not really in an effective sense. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm taking Tua. I mean, I don't think Herbert is a first-round guy based on tape. That's my opinion. I'm less of the big guy, big arm fan club than a lot of people are. And that's where Herbert really checks all the boxes. So that's kind of where I am with it.
Well, Doug, listen, I've already had Rick Neuheisel on. I had Mark Lillibridge on, two guys that are, scouts and coaches. And these guys have been part of the league in one way or another or at college level. And I mentioned it to them, and I'll mention it to you because you do the same thing I do at times. When you call and you get these guys off the record, and I call my scouts and I'll call personnel director, not one of these guys is in awe of Herbert, dude. Not one of them. They're all in awe of his God-given ability and what they could possibly mold, and they all will tell you, if you had to design a quarterback, that's how you design all that stuff. But then when you hear the adjectives of Tua, you don't hear those same adjectives with Herbert. You don't hear leader. You don't hear winner. You don't hear moxie. You don't hear, a guy that's going to get people to follow. None of that kind of stuff you hear on the Herbert side. It's all projection. It's all what he could possibly be. That's what they're in love with. But with Tua, outside of the injuries, they're convinced that he can play the damn game. That's what I hear from my guys behind the scenes. What you hear the same thing, obviously.
Yeah, well, Robert Mays, my friend Robert Mays, who writes brilliantly for The Ringer, had a really good piece this morning on how mobile quarterbacks have sort of changed how teams evaluate the position. And he was talking to Sage Rosenfels, the former NFL quarterback, and I thought Sage put it so brilliantly. He said, like a Kirk Cousins is like a Paxton. He's going to find the open guy, but he's not going to transcend the scheme. Whereas a Patrick Mahomes is like a Steph Curry. He will not only find the open man, but he will transcend whatever vision you have, whatever schematic vision. He will find ways to transcend it when it needs to be transcended. And I think that, to me, you could sum it up as a difference between Herbert and Tua. Herbert's going to take what you give him, and occasionally he will take what you give him and make the wrong throw, whereas Tua is one of those field tilters, as Seattle GM John Snyder likes to say. Does he tilt the field? Well, I think Tua tilts the field. I think with Herbert, you have the danger of falling in love with the physical characteristics, as the people who said this to you, without really, what's the processing speed? How fast does it go from brain to arm? And with Herbert, I have some pretty serious questions about that.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I've watched enough games of his. And look, there are a couple guys, and maybe you've heard this, a couple guys feel that Cristobal hurt the kid because it's the way he coached and conservative and never really opened it up. But then some guys will tell you it's really not in the kid anyway, so it doesn't matter. But some people think because Cristobal is an offensive line coach, and you would just talk about a defensive line coach, well, when an offensive line coach also becomes a head coach, he's kind of conservative too at times because he relies more on the running game than the passing game. Do you find any truth in that they in Oregon they really didn't open it up to maybe help the kid become a little bit more open in his game?
I'm not buying that. I mean, He had enough deep throws. I mean, I did a tape piece with Jalen Johnson, the cornerback from Utah, which went up this morning on Touchdown Wire. And one of the 4 plays we went and looked back on was this long incompletion where Herbert, and that offensive line was great. Herbert was like Ken Stabler in 74 when he had 4 Hall of Famers on his offensive line. He was back there in the pocket clean for days. And Johnson had to follow his receiver around for 25 minutes. And so Herbert had enough opportunities in play action, in route concepts where he had the deep throw and it didn't happen. And even, again, I'm talking about short to intermediate throws to the boundary where it's not happening. And I will go back to Jared Goff's Cal tape where I had similar concerns. And it just, when the easy stuff isn't happening, I kind of tend to wonder most of the time the hard stuff isn't going to happen either. There are very few quarterbacks. I mean, I can think of Jay Cutler, Jordan Love in this class, maybe a guy like that where he can make the impossible throws and the possible throws don't happen. I would not agree that Cristobal held Herbert back. I think Herbert holds Herbert back at this point. And if you put him in an offense like a Chiefs offense where more is demanded of him, I think the result could be even more reductive than what we saw at Oregon.
Oh, that's good stuff there. Doug Farrar, of course, NFL editor for USA Today. You can follow him on Twitter at NFL_Doug Farrar. Doug, when we get to the second level quarterbacks, after the big 3 here that we talk about, where are you with the other guys, Love and some of the other cats, Eason, and Eason's right in your backyard. So talk to me about that next level. Is there a guy you like? Is there a guy people need to stay away from?
I think Eason is the guy I would run away from because he's another big guy, big arm dude, and very serious questions in my mind about processing speed, especially in red zone and crucial situations. I didn't see it consistently at all. Jordan Love, and I talked to him at the Combine about the 17 interceptions, and he said these were 17 learning moments. And there's enough on tape with Love where you go, okay, this is a guy who's worth working on because, as I said before, he can make the impossible throws. He can do stuff that just leaves you kind of reeling with what just happened here. But my pro comp to him was Jay Cutler because Cutler had enough faith in his arm, and that guy, he's one of those guys who could throw a strawberry through a brick wall. And similarly to a guy like Jameis Winston, never really understood that that's not enough. I think Love, based on his demeanor, based on the way he's responded to the interception and inaccuracy questions, I think he has the potential to do that. Another guy I'm higher on than most people are is Jaylen Hertz. And I hear all this stuff about, he can't do this and he can't do that. I mean, yes, he's limited in his reads. He's limited in his progressions. He's limited at this point regarding what he can do. But I don't think he's that more limited than, say, Justin Herbert in a lot of those qualities and a lot of those potential attributes. I think someone could take Hertz in the 3rd round and get, I'm not going to say a Russell Wilson level steal, but I think as a developmental guy over the next 1 or 2 years, you've got a potential, Tyrod Taylor level starter, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, several people this week have really fallen in love with Jaylen Hertz. I just, when I saw him at the Senior Bowl that week, I was just not impressed with his accuracy. And then, he went to the Combine, but that's so organized that I just don't get impressed with Combine workouts. But the Senior Bowl week, that's the one that disappointed me a little because he just was not accurate, bro. And there, accuracy to me is something that either you have it or you don't. And I wonder about that at the next level for him.
Well, I don't take. I mean, when it comes to quarterbacks, I take the throwing drills with less than a grain of salt. I think mechanically, the one way you can improve accuracy is with just refined mechanics at the NFL level. Like guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, when they came from college to really solid programs, they got in a weight room. They had coaches saying, "Hey, you need to drop your arm, X number of inches. Do this with, snap your knee, whatever." And both their velocity and their accuracy improved. It all goes back to how quickly does it go from the brain to the arm. I think Hertz has some work to do there, but I think he has a lot of potential. Another guy that I'll mention just as a third-day pick who could be a spot starter, career like A-plus backup is Anthony Gordon from Washington State, who I would actually probably take over Eason. That kid's kind of a sleeper.
Dude, opposite on the Senior Bowl. I was dying to see him because I didn't watch a lot of Washington State. Obviously, you do because it's in your backyard. But when I fell in love with him in the Senior Bowl. He had a great Senior Bowl week. He has accuracy, bro. He's crafty back there. I mean, Leach did a nice job with that kid.
Yeah, he's not as talented as Minshew, but he has the same mentality. I mean, I don't think you can play quarterback for Mike Leach without that mentality, but he's got that same thing. I like him as, like, of all the third-day guys, kind of the third-tier quarterbacks, where you're looking at him going, okay, maybe this guy is, Patrick Mahomes' backup for the next 5 years. And because you know how Andy always, those spot starter quarterbacks who were great for like 4 games, I think he could be that kind of guy.
Right, yeah. Okay, that's interesting stuff. Doug Farrar, of course. Hey, Doug, what are you guys working on at the USA Today so folks can check you out, my friend?
Oh, my God. Me and Mark Schofield, we've got all kinds of stuff. We've got 7 mock drafts. We got top 11 positional lists for just about every position. We've got tape pieces with all kinds of players. We got a draft hub where you can check it all out at Touchdown Wire under the USA Today.
And by the way, one more thing. Justin Herbert drops in this draft, doesn't he? Because that's the feeling I get, that everybody else has been talking him up, and I think everybody passes up on him. Miami and the Chargers. I don't know where he lands after that, but I think they're going to pass up on him. I don't think he goes in the top 6. You follow that prediction, or you think I'll be wrong?
I would say that all it takes is one, and there are enough big guy, big arm people in the NFL. I mean, Miami, I think, is a toss-up. Anthony Lynn really likes Tyrod Taylor, really sees him as more of a bridge guy. I know that for sure because Anthony had Tyrod in Buffalo. I think he was there in his Pro Bowl year. So they're not going to overdraft a quarterback. They're in desperate need of a left tackle. I think they go that route.
Yes.
With Miami, I don't know. Most of my mocks with Herbert, I've put him in the mid to low 20s, and I'm kind of overcooking him because he's a quarterback. As I said, I have a first-round grade on Burrow and Tua, and that's it. So if someone takes Herbert in the top 10, top 6, I mean, boy, are you projecting. And sometimes you're right with that. More often than not, maybe not so much.
I agree. Follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. NFL_Doug Farrar. Dougie, as always, man, appreciate you, and enjoy the draft this weekend. I know it's like Christmas for all of us.
Oh, yeah. Stay safe, man.
You got it, baby. Stay safe. There you go. Doug Farrar, man, from USA Today, the NFL editor. We always appreciate him. All right, so it's 2 o'clock now. John Murphy's going to join us on the other side. He's the Toronto Argonauts Pro Personnel Director, so he's going to join us. So we'll have a little fun with him on the other side. I can't get an NFL GM on now because they're not going to give us any insight. So I'll get a CFL GM on, so that way he can talk about the players coming into the draft tonight. I've known John for 20 years, from the time he was a reporter, and he's grown up into a scout, up into a personnel director, and I'm sure eventually he'll make his jump over to the NFL when it's all said and done. We will have John Murphy on when we come back on the other side to start off hour number 4, right? It would be technically?
That would be correct, sir.
Yes, hour number 4.
You have done 3 hours.
We've done 3
amazingly.
hours. Yeah, easy.
It's
Easy.
flown by, man.
It has. The whole week has flown by, actually. Considering how long we've been waiting for this week.
Can you imagine?
The week has now gone by like really, 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 really fast.
Can you imagine how fast it would have gone if we were in Vegas, bro?
Yeah. Oh.
Right?
How much fun it would have been.
God, man.
And by the way, Doug had some great nuggets in that interview, bro. Wow, he was good. He was good. He always is. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back to start off hour number 4 with John Murphy from the Toronto Argonauts, the pro personnel director. He's next.
Will reimburse payments up to a total of $1,800 based on purchase and MSRP on approved credit on select models. Excludes tax, tag, title, and includes $8.99 dealer fee. Offer ends 5/4/20.
Toyota of Hollywood is open, and we're here to serve you. The safety of our customers and associates is our top priority. Toyota of Hollywood is following strict guidelines, including social distancing and keeping our facilities clean and sanitized. Buy with 0 down, 0% APR financing, and we'll make your payments till 2021. Pay up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 2019 pre-owned Camry LE, not $27,000, $16,775. 2020 pre-owned Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Shop and save at our 400,000 square foot dealership at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2019 per SET on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street.
Are you tired of watching the same old travel videos on the internet? Well, then check out MikeNoGoZones.com, a travel documentary that's breaking barriers. I go to the places that the media tells you to fear, where no one else dares to go. Baltimore, Opelika, South Side of Chicago, and more. Go to MikeNoGoZones.com.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
We back. All right, we're going to get in contact now with John Murphy. Toronto Argonauts Pro Personnel Director. We will have a little fun. I've known John for 20 years. He knows the draft inside and out. So we'll get him on. XTC says getting to it with the 5th pick is like putting the cherry first, then putting the ice cream last. Barachel says if the Dolphins move up to 3, it won't cost much more than a third and maybe another pick. They shouldn't even trade up, but if they do, it won't cost that much. Look, in the end, they're doing it because they're going to lock in Tua. That's the only reason you move up to 3. You're not locking in Herbert. Herbert's going to drop in this draft. He's not going to be taken in the tops. I don't think he gets taken by Miami or the Chargers. I really don't believe that. Jerry G says, the guy floats more BS than a sewage plant. Okay. I don't know who you're talking about, Jerry. I hope you're talking about me because that's, I will take that with, I think he put, Jerry G, Mike Florio is full of crap. Okay. Yeah, well, on that website, they throw like 8,000 things, and then one of them sticks every once in a while. So, yeah, that's kind of been the MO in that website forever. Man of 1,005 holds. If Tua isn't a Dolphin, will Omar turn into a Jets fan? Out of many, one, tanking for Tua, and then get love later. Let's see. What else do we have here? You got a bunch of guys here. Tua supporters will disappear as soon as he gets hurt. I am copying all messages here and say I told you so. Yeah, that's it will happen. The people that want Tua, and then after he breaks down, then they will say, no, I never wanted him. So, yeah, I get it. Look, I understand if they take the chance because the kid can play, man. That's the bottom line. It's the bottom line. The kid can play. I'm
going to go ballistic if Isaiah Simmons is there and we take Tua. I'm going to go ballistic.
It's a good chance that'll happen. That'll happen. Well, why don't we ask a personnel director?
You know what? I was just going to say.
Why you would do that, because it makes all the sense in the world. Most people aren't going to take linebackers at that spot unless the linebacker is guaranteed to be Lawrence Taylor, 14-sack guy. Of course, John Murphy, who is the Toronto Argonauts Pro Personnel Director. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at DraftJM13. Murph, explain to folks, and of course, hello, but explain to folks why, it's not surprising. As talented, as multiple as Isaiah Simmons is, it's very understandable if you end up passing him at 5, considering the options.
Well, hello back, and glad to be with you. I think what you're looking at here with everything you're hearing is it's really shrewd if the Dolphins could ever pull off any of the metrics of things that are just being heard in the hours and minutes, leading into this. If they're ever able to catapult themselves in a position to either pull off a Houdini act and get all the way to 1 and get the player that they really seem to think is the best quarterback in the draft, that's going to be an act in itself. If there's a secondary way for them to say, well, hey, even if that doesn't work and we're not able to tempt the Bengals by getting 2 top 10 picks to then package, if they were able to double down and get, one of these other players, whether it's the tackle or a kid like Simmons, and get a quarterback, again, they've moved their marker
way forward. And then I think even to a lesser extent, if all they were able to do, and it would still be a lot to accomplish, especially when you're, Chris Greer and you're doing it from the IT department in your house, rather than your war room. If they could stay at 5 or even go 3 to 5, and move up 2 picks and take their best available player, whether that's a Simmons or, whether that's, an offensive tackle, and then package what you have left and find a soft spot at 7, or 10 or similar, and still get a quarterback that you graded as one of your top 2 quarterbacks, you'd have to give them kudos for being able to pull something off like that.
Yeah. No.
And I said, especially with what we're dealing with right now, with that. But I think the Simmons thing is that what's hard for the average draft fan or Dolphins fan or football fan to capture with Simmons is that the stats are he literally has stats in every category, but it's normally the type of guy that you're seeing getting drafted top 3, top 5, top 10 as a linebacker per se, or like what you said, it's a Lawrence Taylor, right? It's something easy to see on paper. It's 12, 15 sacks at the college level. It's the forward production of impacting the quarterback, but with sacks and tackles for loss. It's harder to see impacting that defensive game as being a even much better level athlete than Jamie Collins, right? And saying the versatility of being able to play 3 positions on defense and mix and match your coverages and your blitzes, and having this kid be able to do so many different variables of things at his size, that's tougher to generate the buzz, but also I think going to be tougher for Detroit, or Miami or, San Diego, teams that are expecting, their fans are expecting something different. And if you give them that as the draft pick, you're going to have to kind of wait to see it on the field, right? You're going to have to wait to see the impact, there. But let's not forget, most people did not think, that the impact pick when the Ravens picked Ray Lewis, after picking Jonathan Ogden, that the impact of their franchise would be as much Ray Lewis as Ogden, right? You didn't expect in Tampa with those ugly uniforms and what Tony Dungy was doing there, that an undersized, super athletic linebacker like Derek Brooks would be a complete game changer to their organization and franchise. That's the kind of player that you're probably looking at, in getting with Isaiah Simmons. It will just, in this draft, when so much of the talk is quarterbacks, that there's going to be a 6-7 offensive tackle run in the first round. There's a who's who name-wise, at wide receiver. I think it gets kind of lost in there that this Simmons kid is a top 5 athlete, but more importantly, a top 5 player on film and on tape. And where he goes, if it's spot specific, like Detroit or the Giants or Carolina, in a way to replace losing Kuechly and Thomas Davis in the last couple of years, man, that kid is going to be an exciting impact player on the field because of all the ways that he can, have an impact on the defense, and also how offenses are going to have to prepare for him or see a guy that's going to create a lot of trouble for him, not only on first and second down, but the things that a creative DC can do with that kid on third down will be exciting to watch.
John, when you look at the quarterbacks, and I just get a feeling, dude, that people have been talking up Herbert. I think he's the guy that ends up falling in this draft a little bit. I don't think he gets taken by Miami or the Chargers, but you tell me. But overall, I know Tua's issue is the injuries. That's the one thing that you have to be concerned with. But when you talk to pro people, man, they're convinced he can play. Whereas with Herbert, it's all about projection and that he's the prototypical looking quarterback and all that other stuff. So when you break it down and you look at the film, how much of a difference is there as passers, as quarterbacks, between Tua and Herbert?
I mean, I think, where Herbert is in the conversation now because not what he's done 100%, but the variables that have shown up. And I think that is a very, very, you should be really cautious if that's what you're doing, right? We're all still thinking we're covering the draft. We're all expecting there's going to be a draft in 6 hours. There's going to be a season, at some point. There's going to be decisions, that have to be made. Do you want to overplay your hand because you got caught up in things that you could not control? Cannot control that everything got shut down after the combine. Cannot control that you physically could not put your hands on the guy, with your medical department and get it, signed off that way. But I will also say, and it's, from the uncomfort of having sat in a similar chair, much smaller, unfortunately, so far, for myself. But when you have to put your mark, right? And you and I know that, I've known Chris, since he was a scout. His daddy was, an excellent football personnel guy. So you're talking about a football lifer who is now sitting in that seat, knowing that the weight of the franchise is literally on the shoulders of making those picks. To pass on a guy that has shown at high-level games, game in and game out, time in and time out, to play the way that Tua has. And you risk that because the other guy might be healthier, might play longer, but has not shown me that for sure he will be a difference maker, could be a good quarterback, yes. Could show out and be this year's version of Daniel Jones, or be a guy in the right system, in the right fit to be a good quarterback, sure. But guess what? Name the guys that have been in there since Marino, and I know that's Hall of Fame career and top 5 all time and such. But Tannehill, good enough, to win with. At times other guys, good enough to win with. Good enough to win with is not somebody you take at 5.
I agree.
That is a really hard spot to make that mistake on. And to me, even though it will be not forgiven, won't be overlooked, you probably still get fired, but you will last longer in that league, in any league, if the best player with the best film, who's clean as a human being, who is going to do everything he can to stay healthy and battle back and probably have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, even if he went 5 to Miami, if all you got was 5 years out of it, as well as I do, a 5-year run that looks anything like a 5-year run of 10-plus wins and being a playoff contender, if that's all you got out of Tua, take it right now.
Yeah. And John, one of the things that I've said also, and as a personnel director, you could either tell me I'm completely wrong or, there's some truth to what you're saying. If you're the Dolphins compared to other teams, you also have a luxury other teams don't have, because you can take Tua at 5 or whatever, or 3, but let's just say at 5, if he's there for you, you take him, and then you still have 13 other picks. So Tua could be a bust and, his body breaks down and it doesn't work out and all that. Okay, fine. But, dude, your draft started again at 18 and 26 and 39 and 50. And you can actually have 13 other picks to go out and have one kick-ass draft that you can say, hey, we took a shot at the quarterback. It didn't work. But, man, we had a great draft overall. That you got to set yourself up so that if you do hit on Tua, it becomes the greatest draft of your franchise's history. You know what I mean? So that's a luxury that the Dolphins have, unlike the Chargers, who only have one pick in the first round. Okay, if you make that decision with Tua, that's it, dude. You may only have 6 other picks. And if you don't hit on Tua and your draft is so-so, it's going to look terrible on you. The Dolphins have almost a way of actually overcoming, swinging and missing on Tua.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, it would light up the airwave, right? And it would light up the whole conversation of your room and stuff like that there. And not saying that they are thinking about this or aren't. It's just a thought process on the strategy of saying, if you believe he is the best player, and that grade-wise, it would have been very close, between him and Burrow, and it would have just come down to making a decision on which player you wanted if the injuries were not, in effect. And you trust what kind of dude this is, and you trust, how much work he's put in, because that's a pretty clean-looking, that's a lot better looking than I would have imagined that kid looking. And I don't care if it was set up. I don't care if he was throwing to, his neighbor and his brother and his two cousins. He looked a lot better than I would have thought he would have looked in any kind of pro day, activity. Even like I said, if it was a made up thing that they did and then leaked it out or sent it out or however it got out, that part is fine. But he looked a lot better, in that scenario. You mentioned the point of what they've already put in place, with the coaching staff to the personnel changes, to having a guy like Fitzpatrick who knows his role, knows in a shortened training camp and no offseason, he might be the kind of the starter, to a certain point of this season. I could see it being, one of those like kind of, Eli Manning taking over from Warner, even when Warner was not doing anything wrong. It was just time for Eli to kind of get his shot and get in the game. But the crazier thing would be, and again, if you like Tua and you have any kind of little reservation with the medical, but you have all the volume of picks they have, even though these two guys never thought they would be teammates again, why not then just double down and in the second or third round, go draft Jaylen Hertz?
Okay. All right. Now, let me ask
you. Go pull RG3, and Kirk Cousins. Keith Schuler and Gus Frerotte.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because there is, and again, I'm using Hertz because it's the similar, if that's the style, if that's why you're drafting him to play that moving pocket, with a guy with the developing arm talent, and now you have Jaylen Hertz, and you put him in that same role, and you put him in that situation, and he's the number 3 guy in the room, and the two of them get along, and he knows that he has upside to play one day. A guy like that, or even James Morgan, who I don't know if he's their flavor, but is definitely moved up. The arm talent is there for that guy to, develop as a, NFL quarterback. Maybe not as a pure starter, but seen as a guy that could at least be a 2 with an arrow heading in the right direction. If you liked another quarterback and had a mid-round grade on him, if that's what I saw on paper come Sunday, I would have a lot of confidence, in the direction of the Dolphins. And I won't be surprised because, like I said, I think there's a lot of good pieces there. And it's not just for the rooting interest of Chris, and again, I'm a huge fan. I'd love to see guys that work hard and get their opportunity. And I'd like to see it play out for them because I think it's a great market for the NFL. If the Dolphins, all of a sudden, if you were back to seeing the Dolphins and the Bills, competing, as much for first place, it's kind of brings back, what we grew up with seeing in the, AFC East and the divisions there for the taking.
I'm with you all the way.
So I think it's the same thing.
I'm with you up until the Bills part. We can deal with the Bills being at the bottom of the cellar with the Patriots. Them or
the Jets, them or the Jets, that just kind of seems like that was, kind of nature of the beast. It went from the Patriots to the Jets or the Bills, but I think it's, that's one of the teams, right? You need one of the New York teams to be doing good. The Dolphins, the Bears, there's certain teams in the league that it's just a better league when those teams are, competitive because that's what you think of, right? You don't want the Patriots, all the time, a little something different, would be in there. And like you said, the factor that they have, the volume of picks that they have, if that's your guy, then it's not then a crazy, unorthodox idea to say like, hey, I'm backing up my decision by saying there's at least a plateau, but there is not a floor. There's now, basically the floor of that pick is not as damaging if I put another guy in the room, if I kind of back up the room and say, hey, we're going to all of a sudden have quarterback be a strength of the organization. And again, hey, the Cowboys take Troy Aikman, right? 5 minutes later, and I know it was associated with who the head coach was and where he came from or whatever. They double back on Aikman, take Steve Walsh,
that's right,
and 2 years later turn Walsh into more than what they spent to get him, and Aikman was the guy. But there was a minuscule bit of time, right, in that second season that if Aikman hadn't pulled his head out of his, and kept throwing those bad interceptions, that things could have gone a different way in that situation, and all of a sudden Walsh would have been playing, for them, there. So, hey, this is something that's been done before by very savvy, smart people. That what did they have in common? A lot of extra picks, right? What did Washington was struggling, right, in that time frame, and doubled down and took a second quarterback, because it made sense, because their depth wasn't there. The Dolphins have a lot of the same thing, right? There's no guarantee, unfortunately, for Josh Rosen, the world he's living in. There's no guarantee he's part of this short-term or long-term. And if he's not, like I said, for them to double down and have 13 picks and say somewhere in the third, fourth, fifth round to get another quarterback that they had a high draftable grade on would not be the craziest idea if you're going to take Tua right there. And I have every expectation that this will not be a formatted first round where even though everybody's drafting from their living room or basement, I think that first hour of the draft is going to be a lot of mix and moving and moving parts around.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there's a lot of movement. All right, so where do you stand on the Jordan Love situation? Because here's a guy that you run the tape in 18 and it's jaw-dropping, and then in 19 it's head-scratching. So where are you, and how do you project him at the next level? Because talent-wise, there aren't a lot of guys with more raw ability than that dude.
Right. I think two things have to happen with him. One, are you patient enough to not push the button to where he has to play and be in the mix right away? If a team, we've heard the Raiders, right, and it looked like they already doubled down at quarterback. If they were to triple down at quarterback and pick him somewhere in the teens, or later in the first round, if New England really is, going to go Stidham, with the veteran as the number 2 in case it's too much for him, and he was sitting there late in the first round. We've seen Green Bay kind of try to kick the tires on finding a guy. That would also make sense. Again, he's going to get time. He doesn't have to get rushed in. He's 2 years, removed. I think the big thing with Love is that if you don't push the panic button, that where you draft him then means that he has to be something immediately. You can come out of this with a guy that has the raw tools to ascend to being a starting quarterback in our league. But if you push it too fast, or you try to kind of square peg round hole, and say like, hey, at the beginning, Dan Reeves and them trying to make Vic be a pocket quarterback and not the best, plan of attack, for that. If you try to kind of break down Jordan Love's game too much and take some of that and one football that he has, like that kind of that magic that you're watching at times, and you're like, where did he do that from? Right. And boy, those are some hellacious throws that he's making. Some of this year was, watch the LSU game. They're overmatched, right? 12 for 29, they're overmatched. Some of those throws that he's making, he's just trying to get them more competitive in certain games. So, 8, 9, 10 of those interceptions kind of on him. 4, 5, 6 of them sort of, like, hey, I kind of see what's going on, and, don't think he's just going to be a pure turnover machine. But I think he has to start trusting, watching the game in a broader picture. I think it'd be great if he got with a real, like a guy that you say instantly, oh, that guy matched with that quarterback coach or that system is a good fit. Because if not, we'll get the same flame out that's happened with guys like, I hate to say Brett Hundley, but, athletic guys with live arms that, it's never really gone all together. I think Love is a clear higher prospect than those guys coming into it. where he lands and what they do with him early is going to decide how close he can get to his ceiling.
You can follow him, by the way, on Twitter at DraftJM13. He is the Toronto Argonauts Pro Personnel Director. John Murphy. John, studly performance, my brother. I appreciate you as always. So if you have to give a prediction, where do the Dolphins end up here as we wrap it up? What do you think they end up with that pick, that first pick, whether it's 3 or 5? What's the name they're calling tonight?
I think you're gonna get a double down in some way, shape, or form, and I think the Dolphins come out of it with an offensive tackle, and I would lean toward Andrew Thomas, and then I think it's still Tua somewhere, somehow, some way. And like I said, I think it's using those picks to your advantage, because there is a way to come out with it with one of your top 5 players non-quarterback and probably your 1A or 1B quarterback without selling the farm, because you already own a whole lot of land that you can give up.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right about that. I'm with you all the way. John, as always, you're a stud, my man. Thank you for taking some time. Enjoy the draft, because we get some sports finally. Hopefully our lives can get back on track down the line. You stay safe, my brother. Enjoy the weekend.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Orlando. Appreciate it. You guys stay safe as well.
You got it, baby. You be good. There you go. John Murphy. You can also catch him at Draft Bible, too. The Draft Bible is another place where you can catch my man Murphy doing his thing. Draft Bible, I think, is doing something tonight also with the draft. Anyway, we are also going to be doing something with the draft tonight. We'll be on around 7:30, right around there. Bill and I will get this thing going here on YouTube like we always do. So you'll get an extra dosage of us all throughout the weekend. We can't do it in Vegas, right? We can't be at a sports bar because of all the limitations and everything else. I tried to work out a deal with a couple of sports bars that were interested. The only thing is that the limitations, and then we would have to tear down in the middle of the draft. We wouldn't be able to stay for the whole draft because of curfews. So it was just one of those things. It was just, this is not the year to do it, man. As much as I want to do it, hell, we were going to go to the Vegas to go do this thing, and we're going to do it right, man. That was going to be awesome at Tommy Rockers. That was going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we get the season back, and then we can go back there for the Raiders game. The schedule is going to be released soon, so we'll find out when that Raiders game is, and we'll go out to Vegas for that at least. I mean, we're trying to make it a 2-week trip, so we're at 2 different places out on the West Coast because we're hoping that a couple of those West Coast trips are back-to-back, which I'm pretty sure the NFL will do that, and they'll give them a back-to-back out west, so that way it's a little easier on them, so they're not going back there or back and forth, that they'll just stay out there for 2 weeks. We probably won't be out there for 2 weeks, but we'll be out there for about 10 days or something around that time in order to play out both games in the process. So we'll definitely do that, And the one that has Vegas is the one that will get the week. The one that doesn't have Vegas doesn't get the week. That's how we're gonna roll with that one there. So that we'll spend the week in Vegas, coming off of a trip from wherever else, or we'll spend the week in Vegas and then go somewhere else to kind of wrap it up after that. That's right. I mean, that's the way we got to do it. Wait a minute. Do we play Los Angeles on the road? Is there a chance, or the Chargers are here? I forgot now because the road ones are. It's Denver. It's Denver.
San Francisco is involved, isn't it?
I think San Francisco's here.
Really?
Yeah, I think San Francisco's one of the. I forgot now. Hold on. If Myron's watching, he'll know. Myron is a San Fran game against the Dolphins here or away. Myron will know. Okay? So he will. He would if he's watching. He usually is. You know what I mean? There are several. By the way, give us the thumbs up while you're watching, okay? And remember to subscribe. Subscribe if you can, and then share. Grab that arrow and share with the folks. Do you have the info? What is it?
Do you really think that we're going to get to play football this year?
Yes, of course. Yes, dude, of course. For sure. They're already opening up states.
No fans, though, right?
Well, that's well, then we won't be able to do our trips if we got no fans. Because I'm not going out if there's no fans, because the fans won't go either. That's kind of the idea, is to hang out with Dolphin fans. I can't do the MetLife takeover if I don't have all the fans for the MetLife, which, by the way, how glorious is the MetLife takeover going to be this year with the momentum we're building? Oh, it's going to be so awesome. They could have a record amount of fans at the MetLife takeover this year. Oh, yeah. Yes, I do have faith we are going to have a season. We're going to get through this, bro. We got to get our lives back. Got to figure it out. We might be opening up a little too early here in some places, but, whatever. That's
You think?
whatever.
You think?
Did you get the deal?
Okay. We are here for the Rams.
Okay.
We're at Jacksonville. We're at Denver.
No, I don't care about
we're
that.
We're at Buffalo. We're at Arizona.
Denver, Arizona, and Las Vegas?
Vegas.
So Denver,
Jets,
Arizona, and Vegas. So I'm hoping, nothing against you folks out there in Arizona. You're very nice. We love you all. But I'm hoping Denver and San Francisco are the back-to-backs. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And I'm hoping it's early, so that way Red Rocks is still open, and maybe there's a concert at Red Rocks.
Dude, you know what? Look at how it's set up on the schedule.
Huh?
The way it's written, they're side by side. Obviously, there's no date, but they're there.
Oh,
side by side.
I see what you're saying, that they are back to back.
But
it's at the end of the season.
There's no date.
Yeah, but still, it's at the. If this is the order, all I'm saying is,
I don't think so.
Then we lose. You know what I mean? If this is the order, which I don't, you know what? It can't be the order. Do you know why? They normally play a lot of divisional games at the end.
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they've got Vegas and San Fran as our last two games. There's no way that's going to be our last two games.
Well, there's no date there either.
But
it's just.
But I hope they have Vegas. I mean Vegas and Denver back to back. That would be my perfect combination.
Forget San Francisco, huh?
No, you said San Francisco was home.
No, man, look at it. It's away.
Oh, okay.
It is away.
Oh, it is away.
Yeah, so we could do San Fran.
Oh, okay,
and
San Fran.
Vegas.
Okay, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, San Fran and Vegas, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I've been to Arizona. It's actually really nice, super clean. But come on, dude. I mean, I want the nightlife and I want the concerts of Denver, and I want the nightlife of San Fran and the nightlife of Vegas. You know what I mean?
We could be greedy and just say, let's go for 3 weeks.
That's not greed. It's budget.
And go Denver,
it's not that.
San Fran.
I can overcome
Vegas.
the wife will let me go, okay? She's, nutty enough that she'll let me go and she understands. But there's no way we'll be – and plus, they're not going to set them up for 3 weeks away. It'll be 2 for sure. I don't know which 2, but it'll be 2 for sure. I don't know which ones, but we'll set it up. We'll be out there. James Roman says, O-line Tua is brittle. The minute a 300-pound defensive lineman hits him, he'll get injured. And Herbert is Tannehill 2.0. Yep. But they'll still take I still think they would take the chance on Tua. I don't believe the Herbert thing, man. And by the way, Marino gave it away. I'm telling you, Marino gave it away. Okay? Marino gave it. Once he says that he and Herbert have anything in common, that's a lie, bro. I mean, that's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. Nothing about Marino resembles Justin Herbert. Nothing. Everything about Marino says Joe Burrow. Everything. Okay? So that I knew was already, it's a smokescreen. And by the way, awesome job by the Dolphins this year. Awesome job. I love it. King Short says, positive thoughts, Big O. Hey, man, what am I going to do? I'm not going to think about the world going awry. We got to figure this thing out and get everybody healthy, get everybody out of hospitals, and no more COVID, man. Let's eliminate that thing. And you know what? Let's be responsible after everything is done. Okay? Once we do get through this, stick with the gloves, stick with the masks in certain places. Okay? You got to do that, man. Stay healthy. That's what we need. All right, we thank Greg Allman. We thank Mark Littlebridge, Rick Neuheisel, Doug Farrar, John Murphy, an all-star lineup today. Great job by you, Bill. Thank you, sir. We thank Philippe also, as always, helping us out here on the program. We thank, of course, Steve Ostrov, Herbie, all the great people out here at Toyota of Hollywood. We thank the folks that have come by to say hi. My man John also came by to say hi, which is always good. Remember, we are back on in a couple of hours. In 5 hours, we're back on at 7:30, just under 5 hours. 4 hours and 50 minutes we'll be on. So come back to YouTube. We'll do this draft thing. We'll have the commissioner potted through for every pick, so you don't have to balance out the TV and all that stuff. So we'll give you a Dolphin draft intensive party here. And you'll get all the info that you need, man. We'll have some fun, and we'll watch the Dolphins get better tonight, which is a beautiful thing. Tomorrow we'll be at Craig's Inn, Acura, Pembroke Pines, starting off at 11 a.m. We'll do our thing till 2. It'll be till 2 then, okay? We're not going to go till 2:40 like today. And then we've got the show at night again, doing the draft on Friday night. So hope you guys are well out there. Hope you guys are safe. We'll see you later on tonight. Spread the word. Share the link. Tell the folks, if you're a Dolphin fan, this is where you want to be to get some hardcore Dolphins talk.
May Roger Goodell call Tua for some other team.
All right, we'll see if it's at 3 or 5, but it'll be the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure that's my prediction. I'm sticking to it. You guys
killing me, man.
Take it easy.